And we are live. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Alien Spaceship stream. You could be watching from anywhere around the country or the world, and I really appreciate every single one of you. And also, we have some interesting things to talk about tonight regarding the different conflicts in the Middle East. There is some interesting stuff with trials and many other things that we will be discussing tonight. And what I'm going to be doing now is switching over to the other screen to go and... Alright, hello everybody. It is me, Alien Spaceship. Let's see, it's out of focus. Camera might be a little bit out of focus, but let's see. Does this... Let's go here. Alright, camera is out of focus for some reason, but anyway, so... Hello, it's me, Alien Spaceship. I hope everybody's having a good evening, a good, had a good day and everything like that. So, we've been keeping up with the Iran, or Iran, as we like to say, conflict, and I think that it has been, there's supposed to be a ceasefire yesterday, but it actually wasn't a ceasefire. They seem to be having some problems with each other. And hello, Mary Toodles and Rebecca. It is great to see both of you. And hello, Rebecca. And Rebecca, yesterday, Mike Morrow came in the chat because he's a new member of the channel, and he was saying that he misses you in the trial chats. So he gave you a shout out when he came in here. He stayed for a moment because he had to go, but he wanted to tell us hello, and it was nice seeing him for a moment. So, all right, so hello everybody. So, basically, with the conflict, the president has condemned both sides because of the ceasefire violations they both have done, and it was supposed to be a ceasefire yesterday, but it actually wasn't a ceasefire. It completely, we thought it was going to be over with, but then there was some more firing happening, and the Iranians were a little bit reluctant to be peaceful, but then they're saying in their media that a peace treaty was forced on them, and they're just fighting each other again. So it is heating up over there in the Middle East, and Mary says, if the camera is out of focus, it's because Bubbles was using it for OnlyFans. That is very hilarious. That is extremely funny. Bubbles was using it for his OnlyFans, and I'm sure he makes a lot of money with that. That is hilarious. And also, we have this, the game that we usually do. See if there's any... I want to play the game while I talk about these things, and then we will go into other stuff too. But as I said, the game, I talk about both things at the same time. Only feline fans. That's a very good one. Toe bean pictures. Yeah, that's what he puts on his OnlyFans. Yeah, that's true. And he gets a lot of cat and human earthling fans with that. Yeah, definitely. Also, switching over to the other window. Let's go here. Alright, and as I always play the game in the beginning, and we're going to do that and talk about what's going on. And then I'll also show articles and stuff like that as well. Alright, so basically, this is the island. Yesterday we had an epic battle with one of the different enemies. this was a Tortuga. We fought Jolly Roger. He's the one that destroys all the different islands, and it was good to finally take him, take him out. It was nice. And you are with Sparkles, and he's sleeping. Oh, okay. I want to show the fishing part. It's pretty cool. Okay, let's go here. Alright, so casting a line, and sometimes these fish aren't really easy to deal with. They're kind of similar to the other fish. The other fish that are what you would call like in the Pearl River. So in the Pearl River, trying to fish over there, what will happen is the fish are too smart, and they'll cut the line. They'll get the bait, but you can't successfully get the line. You like the turquoise hat, yeah. Okay, so the feather hat, I don't know. The user is in the game somewhere, but I haven't seen the feather hat. Yeah, Finding Nemo. Shot the Finding Nemo. Yeah, this one, it's going to not cooperate. It's a Pearl River fish. And then go back in. Let's see. You have to be quick with it. Ah, the lure was stolen. Okay. Yeah, so basically the update, there's a couple different things. So with Israel and Iran, they're still having war conflicts in spite of the ceasefire agreement. And Trump's very angry. Well, you've never seen this before. You think it's pretty cool. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, we did this in the early game. Yeah, shout out to Pearl the cat. Yes. Now, these fish are being quite intelligent. Alright, that's another one. Yeah, that is me fishing in the game. Yeah. And usually, you can catch them, but sometimes they don't always want to cooperate. Let's see. The yellow ones are more friendly. Looks like an eel. Okay, that didn't work either. Let's see if we can get one. Alright, that was stolen. Well, I did it during the late night lives. I have done that before. All right, this one, these fish today are being very feisty. What I'm going to do is going to get some more lures. I didn't run out of lures, but I want to get some more. All right, as I said, usually you could catch some, but right now they're being very difficult. So trials today, we're watching the preppy trial and some of the other ones regarding there's a preppy trial and the boyfriend murder trial, and those two have been quite explicit, but the one that's been really explicit is the preppy one. Those guys seem pretty not that nice. Send an alert out. The now, a lot of people would be lurking and some people might be, it automatically sends a notification. I didn't make a post about it, but I did. Um, it does it automatically, but no, I didn't like write like a post about it. But I've been going live every day, but it it's up for people if they want to come or not, and some people might not know. But so it's the sending out a notification is a good suggestion though. Yeah, and sometimes people come in a little bit later in the stream. It's all good. Yeah, so all right, so you have this fish. Usually it's the easier one. All right, there I caught one. The yellow tang. Okay, you didn't get one. Oh, you must be you two being goofy. Okay, thank you. They're the Sheen Notification Center. Okay, Mary. Thank you. All right, got another one. I got the Bermuda chub. You said you didn't make a post. That's what I meant. Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah, that's true. So I didn't make a post about it. That's true. All right. All right. So caught some fish, and reminds you of Finding Nemo. Yeah. Now this is going really deep. Oh, also when I level up in the game, Zero's able to do it. You could go into the ocean and fish into the ocean. Like you would take a boat out and go into the ocean and fish. So that's pretty cool. So that's the deep water. Yeah, it is like Finding Nemo. So you're getting these big fish right here. Now this is not the one I wanted, but it's a fish. Let's see. Okay. One thing I'm trying to see is what level do you need to get the boat? Has to be level 10 fishing. Okay. Yes, they're very pretty fish. Yeah, definitely Finding Nemo. Okay, that one left. Let's go this one. All right. Yeah, so going to show some of the fish in the water, you have these right here, all kinds of different shades. All right, let's see. Scared. Yeah, a lot like Finding Nemo. You got some really big ones. Like Zero has caught some really big ones in the ocean before. A couple levels more, be able to go to the ocean to fish. That'll be a cool thing to stream about. Yeah, so I think within the Middle East, they need to really do consider the ceasefire. They really need to consider that because with the ceasefire, it'll be good for them, good for everybody. They don't have the squid in the game or the kraken for some reason. I think that would have been something cool to add to the game. Is the kraken squid thing? That would have been cool to add. Now Davy Jones is in the game. Yeah, there are different levels. Yeah, there certainly are different levels of fishing in the game. I'm on level 4. All right. So yeah, it looks like a Finding Nemo type fish. Now this is not going to work because it's being hostile. There you go. So we're going to go here. We got some Pearl River type fish, basically. Okay. Going to go out here. No, not selling anything. Just going to go and... Yeah, the one I have is a Bandit Sea Globe. Okay, it looks like we're already filled up. Okay, I'm going to go after some ships. Well, this needs to be repaired. So we're just going to go and get it repaired. All right, going on the high seas to sink some ships right here. All right. We want to take some plunder. Scared. Because I remember updating live yesterday while we were doing the stream how it was so cringe. How, like, just a couple of, like 30 minutes later, the people started firing at each other again. It was really, like, a cringe thing. It was like they couldn't have peace for, like, 20 minutes. All right, taking out some of these ships over here. Okay, and getting all this nice plunder. Let's see. And it looks like with Diddy, it's coming to an end. And that's always nice. Oh, you had to get dinner for Sparkles. Okay. Okay, I understand. All right. So we're sinking some more of these. And yeah, so I think that yeah, so with Diddy it'll be coming to an end. We'll be seeing how they the how that deliberation goes with the closings and stuff. We'll do an update about that. So yeah, it's surprising like the Diddy thing. Yeah, it seems like it's coming to an end. There's gonna be no court tomorrow. That's what I was seeing today, and we will see what the verdict's opinion about it is. See what the verdict is and see how that goes. But there's no court tomorrow, and nothing is really being in development right now. All right. All right. So this destroyer ship. Okay. Let's see. There's going to be court tomorrow, just that for Diddy's trial, it'll be not. All right, we sunk it. Now, the other trials, the boyfriend murder trial and the Pepe trial, is still going on. With Diddy's trial, they don't really show the courtroom. All they do is they show the outside of the courthouse. Yes, correct. All right, that went down. Okay. Now, we will see how it goes with the trials that are on at the moment. Because there's still a lot of information coming out. Like the stabbing, the Preppy trial, there should have been an adult around. To make sure that they weren't being stupid like that. And now we're going to go to Driftwood Island. Alright, so this is Driftwood Island. Alright, got emeralds, got wheat, and copper, and cotton. Okay. So now, like, this is a battle between one of them. Alright. Yeah, so with this weapon, it's quite easy to come up with an attack here. Alright, and we got the plunder. Yeah, so that's my opinion on the Preppy trial, and this other one with the boyfriend murder trial. The dude certainly, I believe, probably did it, and it's unfortunate that they went and hid the body. You know, he hid the body somewhere, in my opinion, because they can't find the body. So of course, fair trial, but it seems like he's in some hot water over that. All right, that's with the grenade. That's pretty good. Now let's see about bringing the dagger. That'll be something good to test out. Okay. All right, so that went pretty well. There's this other game that I used to play called there was Pikmin on the Wii, and that was a pretty good game to play in the Wii. It's really for a GameCube, but you can play those type of games on there. So, I said it was quite interesting. All right, you got a red tank, but I don't need that because I already got my outfit on. And you know, in the game, by upgrading these skills, it's good for the pirate. And later in the year, we will see how it all plays out with the Koberger trial. Because I just think that the people in the Preppy trial, the boys are real rude, and they seem like not that kind of like punks. Well, some of them, some of the witnesses, you know, immature and stuff like that. I just saw the boyfriend murder trial the other day, so it was quite interesting to watch that. You know, I do think that. I mean, that's like you know my opinion about it. Like, I think that the people, you know, when you watch a witness, that certainly does tell about the person in the trial that you're watching. And you know these guys. So basically, the Preppy trial, these boys were at this party, and then a fight happened, and a stabbing occurred, and there was a murder, and it went something that went too far, and that's what the whole thing in question is about. So it'll be interesting to see as it develops, you know. But I think it's not really a good look because you are the company you keep, and this is what the guy was hanging around. So I don't think it's really too good. All right, so we got that's cutting up. All right, we did pretty good. Well, it looks like this is a different type of. That's backwards. Because I'm used to WSD, but there's this other one right here. Kind of running from a different angle. It's pretty cool how you can move the player. Okay. So, as I said, the other trial. Hello, Greg. It's good to see you, buddy. Gregatron. I appreciate you being here with us. So, basically, at the moment, I'm playing the game kind of like in the beginning, like I usually do, and with the, as you've heard, with the Israel-Iran conflict, they look like they're trying to, keep the fight going, and Trump's very angry at both sides when he's trying to get a peace deal done. And we're going to be looking at updates about that, which that is the update, but we'll see if there's anything new. And talking about some of the trials that we're watching, that I was watching today with the others. So it's been going pretty good. Oh, hello, Libby. It's great to see you, my sweet friend. Shout out to you, buddy. I'm I'm glad that you're able to come by and hang out. Yeah. So what I do, as I said, usually in the beginning, I do the game, and we're fighting some crabs on an island. And today I was watching the Preppy trial and the boyfriend murder trial. That's what I was watching today. And so, like I was saying before, with the witnesses, I think the witnesses are extremely like the Preppy trial. Not necessarily all of them, but some of the boys, they don't seem like they're too good. They're not really that nice. So it just kind of makes, I think, the defense look bad. Because it shows the video about what happened, and the guy at the time didn't know there was a fight. Now I know when I was like in school, some people had fights, but it never escalated to someone getting deleted. So yeah, someone had a knife, and it didn't go. Someone got deleted. The boyfriend murder trial. It was two guys in a relationship, and one of the boyfriends went missing. The other one went missing, Barry, and they don't know what happened to him. The person disappeared. So that's what we're trying to figure out, like, if the person's guilty or not. It's probably guilty. It's really unfortunate when people can't find a body, because when they can't find a body, it's not good for the families, of course, because they want to have some closure. And I think it's additionally sick. Besides deleting someone, it's even more sick when they can't find someone. Yeah, we have a cat farm here, and also a possum farm too. And recently I made a post and a short about the possum bus. When I was outside last night, I just was standing there, and a possum bus came to me, and they were all these baby possums around the mom. It was just really a beautiful sight to see. And the mother is very tall, and the father is very short. It's kind of funny. You think it would be the other way around, but yeah, it's very tall. And then she said she's wrangling cats. A bike ride. It's nice. How's the weather? Yeah, that's pretty cool. Bike riding is fun. It looks like the message repeated itself. It's okay. It's some kind of a YouTube thing. Alright, so what I'm also doing is upgrading this weapon. It's, yeah, scary, yeah. And it is something different. It is something quite different, and I'm thank you for commenting. I may have responded. If I think I responded to you. I think I don't really remember. Now, if you did comment recently, I was doing the stream, so I didn't get to it right away. And also, yeah, it is a prehistoric looking creature, and it's not something that a lot of people would see often. And yeah, it is. They're very sweet and cute, but they are a bit intimidating to look at. Definitely, especially like when they stare at you. They really have an intense stare to them. Now, we think they're very nice, very cute animals. They're very nice, but they also are intimidating. They can be intimidating. Oh, you just commented on it. Yeah, I was doing this. I'll comment it after I do the stream. Thank you for that. Yeah, unusual looking is a good word. And they're good for the environment, and they aren't afraid of me, and I get a little spooked. They eat cat food. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, because I remember like their stare. They got a stare to them, and also they have a lot of teeth. Oh, okay. Mary understood. And Livy says, I don't like things I get anxiety over. Caterpillars, lizards, frogs, spiders. Ah, okay. So it's a type of phobia. Yeah, Mary Toodles doesn't like lizards. And I'm not a big fan of the roaches. Roaches are something I don't mind deleting a roach or dealing with it, but I think roaches are disturbing also. That's something that I think everybody gets disturbed by. And you don't like things get anxiety over. Yeah, caterpillars. Yeah, caterpillars are kind of dangerous, because it could sting you. One time when I was little, this was back when Best Buy was still around. I went to get some. I was in. There is a tree that was cut down, but it fell over because of a hurricane, and it was on this piece of land where they fall over, and I was wearing a Superman costume, and this is back when Blockbuster was still around. This was 2006, and I was in the wood. I was in the side where the tree was, like under the tree, like going through it, and I felt some prickling thing, and it was. I looked at my arm, and there was a caterpillar walking on my arm, and I was like, "Ow!" I didn't know that a caterpillar can sting like that, like under its like with its feet. But I guess the whole thing can sting. I said Best Buy. What I meant to say was Blockbuster. I misspoke. It was Blockbuster. When Blockbuster, I get Blockbuster and Best Buy maybe mixed up because they both start with a B. So it was when Blockbuster was still around that shut down. Best Buy is still around, but it seems to be a bit obsolete, but it's still around. It has not shut down as far as I know. But now it's kind of been replaced with the internet, but Blockbuster's still hanging in there. Yeah, a possum farm, yes. And Mary, it was nice. I'm in Central Ill, so it was 90 plus here. I loved it. Oh, that's good, Greg. I'm glad that you had a good bike ride. And Libby said we have plamito bugs. Y'all call them plamito bugs. And those things are huge and they fly and they are fast. Yeah, yeah. Now, and people call them different things because I didn't know with like roaches they call them different things in different places if that's what you're referring to. But they do originate from Africa. I would think that it was more of a jungle, like something that originated from the jungle somewhere, because it wouldn't fit in a wintry place because a lot of insects come from like the tropical areas. So it seemed to me like a tropical bug, and I was right. Oh, Shell, welcome, Shell. I'm glad to see you. Welcome to the chat. Yes, yes, okay, that's what y'all call them over there. Plumito bugs. Yeah, yeah. As I said, I didn't know that y'all people call them different things. We just call them roach. But I like the word plumito. As they're very interesting. Yeah. Hello, show. We're talking about right now wildlife, but also the Israel and we're up doing updates about Israel and Iran, and we're doing updates about that, and also I was mentioning some trials that I saw. Yes, thank you, Shell. That is also something we're talking about. Well, I wasn't talking about those. I was talking about the trials that I saw today. But yes, Carmelo was found guilty. Yes, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that, and I've been keeping up with that trial, and we've talked about it here, and it seems to be, yeah, it was interesting to see that he was found guilty. I didn't. I saw there was development about the trial, but he was found guilty for sure. Okay, thanks. Like if you have lots of trees in the summer and it rains, they try to get into a house. Oh yeah. Now where I live, the you would call them plumito bugs. They are just all the time just hanging out. All right, so the trials that I'm watching is the preppy trial and the those are the only two trials that are on. Is murder the boyfriend murder trial. It's a gay couple, and the boyfriend killed the other boyfriend allegedly because really the boyfriend went missing, so they think that he did something. So it's that trial, and then the other trial that's happening is the preppy trial. Only two that are on, and I've been keeping up with Diddy personally with the Diddy trial, and that one seems like it's coming to an end soon. Where I am, they did come through here originally during the transatlantic trade, so they came here in the port in the beginning, and it's great weather for them here. So yeah, they're just plentiful. Now in wintertime, they aren't usually out as frequently as they go in hibernation. The plumito bugs. And yeah, they are big, and they I usually see them outside at night on the walls and in the trees, and I'll see them just flying around and just doing their thing. I see all kinds of bugs. Now, one time I saw a bug that was really big, and it was the beetle from a jungle. And the beetle from the jungle was very large, and I did not see it again, but it was huge. If it gets bigger, it could get like the size of a small kitten. But it must have been eaten by something before it got to its full height. So that would make sense. But I saw it in 2020. That's when I saw it. I would see it, and I took a picture of it, and I took a video of it too. Now, when I would see the beetle, it was moving its head back and forth slowly, and it was slowly raising the hard shell, and it was about to fly. It was like an airplane. It was like a military aircraft, and it was like about to blow up and fly. And I got out of its way, and it went zoom. So it's cool how we were able to copy. Yeah, I'm dying with bugs. So when I would see it's interesting how we were able to imitate the aircrafts. Like, say, the B-2 bomber that was used to bomb the nuclear facilities. It was copied off of an eagle. And it's interesting to see how we were able to get nature and copy the different insects and flying eagles and stuff and put them into an aircraft. It was very cool how we used the same type of technology. Libby says, "Who is going to watch the Koberger trial?" I can't. I don't think I can watch it. It's going to be longer than YSL. Yeah, YSL was a long one, and I watched YSL, and although a lot of my fellow trial watchers were not a big fan of that trial, I appreciated watching it, and I was around. My city is very into hip hop and stuff, and that kind of. I like all kinds of different music, but I'm familiar with the culture of that. And some of my friends are rappers, so and I rap sometimes myself in the streams, so, as an enthusiast, but as a hobby. But so I think it was quite interesting to see, and it was something a celebrity thing to watch. And I thought it was a good cause to be in the chat because I did think it was a political thing at the same time. And I was it was very long and crazy, and the people in the chat really loved watching me. People in the chat really loved like watching. Me being in the chat with them and helping out. They really liked it. Libby, I'm in New Orleans. That's where I am. Where Little Wayne came from. Shell says ABL is disgusting. His true colors shown. When he said Carmelo had the right to delete the white kid, he even stated he would delete someone if they touched him. Yeah, I remember we were talking about that, and I was on when I have no problem. Like the reason why I've not been on there was because I've been focusing. The trial chat group wanted me to go live every day because they like watching me, so that was why I've not been there often. And Shell said even if he stated he would delete someone if they touched him. Now, I do think that if people can have a peaceful way of resolving their problems, I think that would be the better way to do it. Shell, and also Greg is saying the point ABL was making was keep your hands to yourself. It's good to keep your hands to yourself. At the same time, I think that it depends on the circumstances. Like, where people could have a less violent way of dealing with the, a fight. If they could de-escalate something, that would be good, if possible. And also, if I was looking at the chat for a second, so at the same time, if somebody is being like deleted or somebody is trying to like murder you or something, so it's good to defend yourself. But if something is minor, if people could de-escalate it and try not to result to violence, I think it's good if they could do that. Like in the Carmelo situation, I think that there could have been a peaceful resolution where it didn't have to result to violence. At the same time, people thought he was his life was threatened. I was not there. I don't know if that was to that extent where people feel their life was threatened. At the same time, I think that bringing the weapons on the school grounds is not legal, but there could have been a teacher or a coach that could have broken it up because fights do happen, and sometimes if people are fighting, it can get out of hand. Now, I don't think it was necessary to go to that extent, in my opinion, but it's good to keep your hands to yourself. I do agree with that. But at the same time, I think it's good to, if deadly measures don't have to be taken, I think it's the best way to go. And Greg said that the Carmelo kid was wrong. Yes. But Austin shouldn't have tried to physically move him. Yeah. I think it would have been good to have a teacher come to try to break it up. And it was also wrong for Carmelo to go and delete that. Yeah. Definitely. But if ABL is saying that if someone like pokes him and then he starts to go attack him, I think that it's a bit of an overreaction, to go and delete the person. Yeah. So Shell, I understand, it makes sense. And Greg, I understand your position as well. All right. So Libby said some things. I get those chats and trials. I forget about the trials and start talking to the chat. Alien, that's how I found you. Oh, thank you, Libby. I appreciate that. Like, the chat is a separate show. Oh, let's go Dodgers. Hey, buddy, good to see you. And, alright, so, yeah, so, hello, let's go Dodgers. And Greg said, yeah, okay. people, you never know what people are going to do. He should have just told the coach, I just assume people are crazy today because they are. People are crazy. And Libby says, I listen to older rap, some new. I like older rap too, but that's all about how people are raised. New Orleans is a high crime area. Yeah, that's true. But that's how these kids were raised. Parents didn't watch them, and they hit the streets. Yes, Libby, you absolutely are correct. And that does happen. When I remember, especially after Hurricane Katrina, it got really bad. But you love learning about the culture. Yeah, and at first I was not a big fan of rap because I saw the violence it was associated with. And but as I learned like what the rappers were saying, and some of them were saying things that were productive, and I understood it was just them expressing themselves. And a lot of white people, especially, I went to a school that was mostly white, and in Metairie, and everybody liked rap because it was part of the city. So I liked how it could go past cultural bounds. And yeah, Shell, I do think that he shouldn't have deleted the other guy. He shouldn't have done that, and Carmelo shouldn't have deleted the what's his name, the white football player. I should know his name, but I don't recall it at the moment. Yeah, so yeah, I think that people should keep their hands to themselves, but it doesn't mean to go and delete somebody if they touch you. So I understand what Shell's saying, that, and also I understand Greg's position too. And I think that we pretty much both agree on the same thing. But yeah, like people, yeah, if someone puts their hands on somebody, you shouldn't go delete someone. I agree with that. It's a drastic measure to take. But if it escalates to a point where someone's trying to delete someone, if it went to that extent, people should defend themselves. But it's like if someone pokes you, you shouldn't necessarily go and delete them. And if everybody could be more stoic and have peaceful resolutions and have a teacher break it up, I think that's the best way to go. All right. And Greg said, I'm not blaming anybody. It's not a matter of right and wrong. It's a matter of righter and wronger. And they both are wrong, but Carmelo was more wrong. Yeah, because Greg is agreeing that Carmelo was wrong for deleting the person. And ABL saying that he wants to go and delete somebody for touching him. That's what I agree with you, Shell, that he shouldn't have. That's an extreme for ABL to say that. I agree. And Libby is saying, like, I've never listened to Kendrick Lamar until his beef with Drake. I remember that. I thought Lamar's music was way over my head, but since that, I beef and love Kendrick Lamar. Yeah, because when they do that, they're doing promoting with each other's content. They do promotion with each other's content. Yeah, so, Shell, I do think it's an extreme for him to say that he would delete somebody if they touched him. If that's what he was like saying in those words, yeah, that's an extreme. Like, people need to stop, both sides, everybody needs to stop trying to fight each other and get more stoic about it, because it's ridiculous to go to that extreme to, like, someone like touches somebody. I agree, it's wrong to go delete them. Now, if somebody is going to be like beat up or something to that extreme, they don't have to even delete the person. You don't have to even delete somebody if they're fighting you. It's a way to, to that extreme to, you could either fight back or get away or get a teacher or, like, for instance, and this is something I'm going to say in disclaimer about this, to not actually stab anybody or to attack people with a knife. And this is for educational purposes only. Okay, so that's out the way. One thing, understood, Shell. And Greg and Shell, thank you both for your commentary on this matter. So what I think with the knives, weapons shouldn't be brought to a school campus. Now, in the hood, from what I know from NOLA, I was never in a public school. I was in a private school, and before that I was in a Catholic school. So basically, what I think is that that's the first elephant in the room. Second of all, the other factor is with the knife. If when I learned about knife fighting, not that I've never done that before, I haven't. During the riots that happened in 2020, I I always knew about knives as self defense. I really want to learn about it. So something that they talk about is that no one wins a knife fight. If somebody's going to use a knife for self defense, as I said, educational purposes only, they you would cut someone on their arm, okay? And they would not lethally bleed to death or bleed to deletion, but they would still survive. So it's a deterrent. The knife is supposed to be a deterrent. So stabbing someone in the chest without a warning, that's he didn't have to do that. And he didn't have to use a knife in the first place, in my opinion, especially on a school campus. But he could have done it something non-lethal, is what I'm saying. So he probably didn't even know about how to use it properly. And if the other one, the one that got stabbed, rest in peace to him, he could have, if he knew a certain maneuver, if someone's coming at you with a knife, there's a certain maneuver you can do to block it and take the knife out their hand. If he had known that, Carmelo would have surely would have ran. A knife can be more deadly than a pew pew. That is true. Yes. It just depends on where you're cut at. And because if someone is cut in the arm, yeah, cut it. Yeah, cut it like the smoking scam drop. If someone is cut in their arm, yeah, they could bleed to death. It's not good. But they wouldn't be as lethal as stabbing them in the heart. He shouldn't have stabbed them at all. But the guy didn't even know about knife fighting. He shouldn't have resorted to that extreme. So the other person could have survived and would have been still here. And if he could have just pulled a knife out and not have done anything, which he shouldn't have. Yeah, all topics are fair in educational purposes. So no, Carmelo shouldn't have used a knife on him because he could have, if he would have cut him, he could have bled to deletion. Or if he would have stabbed him in the chest, he would have deleted him. So I think the knife was unnecessary. He could have ran away first into another tent or told a teacher or something. And he was wrong for doing that. And I disagree with ABL saying that he would do the same thing. It just depends on the circumstances. If people pulled a knife on him or got, we're going to delete him or something, that's different. No, I'm not talking, well, the preppy killers, I'm not talking about them. We're talking about Carmelo. The tent incident. Right. So, yeah, Shell, I understand, I agree with you. So if he was going to say something about self-defense, he could have worded it differently if he meant something else, in my opinion. So, yeah. If someone shot with a pew-pew, it's going to cause them to be frozen, and they're going to be stunned. Yeah. So a knife should not be used. Okay, no one wins. And he shouldn't use a knife at all. But if he could have survived, if he was not lethally cut, if he was going to be cut at all. But stabbing him in the chest, that's like it's like Shell. It's like somebody, it's like pushes me, and it's like you take out like an AK-47 with a drum on it. It's like, it's a bit of a extreme. Yeah. So people should keep their hands to themselves because people are just nuts, like Carmelo. Just a crazy person. But that doesn't mean that you have to go and stab somebody, though. So for him to say that he would have done the same thing, I would not want people to emulate Carmelo and think that's the way to do things. And a lot of times I will see things escalate in the hood. I'll even hear about it because there's a lot of gunshots. Well, Libby, in my opinion, I've never seen or had a problem with it, but YouTube creators suggest using code words. So murder can be used. Instead of using kill, we say delete. And saying the G word, we say pew pew. So, and thank you, Shell, for bringing this to my attention. I just wouldn't really, like I would word it differently. So if ABL meant that he was wanting to people to keep their hands to themselves, he could have said it like that. But if he meant like, oh, if someone touched me, I'm gonna go take a bazooka and blow the person up because they pushed me a little bit. Yeah, I think I would say that. Agree with you, Shell. It's an extreme, and right, and so he could have worded it differently. So if what Greg is saying that ABL meant that you should use keep your hands to yourself because somebody's like crazy, and people, if someone tries to mess with somebody, you need to defend yourself. It depends on the circumstances, and I think that ABL could have worded differently if he meant it a different way, in my opinion. You know, and yeah, it does depend. You know, if someone pulls a Glock out on you, if someone pulls a knife on you, or if someone knocks you in the next week, yeah, there might be a situation if you can't get away to defend yourself. If you're up in a corner against a wall, yeah, I can see where you need to defend yourself. And another thing that could have been done is say that you match the force with the force that's given to you. So he could have fought him like in a brawl. He could have hit back. They could have gotten to a tussle. And that could have been a way he could have done. And Gregatron, say like, you and I both are into exercising and working out. And I think that is the best deterrent if somebody is going to try to want to push somebody disrespectfully. So I think with better guidance, the Carmelo could have learned about fighting or doing exercises to strengthen himself, because the knife is not the best option, in my opinion. And also, Libby, I say you said something else, which I'm going to respond to in a moment. And Greg says, when I worked security, I had one rule. Don't touch me. I'm not strong. I could hurt someone bad, even trying. Yes, that is true. And you are very strong. I told people that to protect them from me. Yes. And that's fine. And I agree with you. And you would match, if someone messed with you, you would knock them into next year. Certainly. And that's fine. If someone is going to push him, he could have punched him back. I just think that the force he used was not necessary. He could have done it a different way. But you are correct, and I do agree that if somebody wants to push you, you are going to push back tenfold. Yes, absolutely. And I do think that's what I'm saying. That if the one with the knife, he could have instead built himself up and learned how to fight, and he could have beat him to next week or something. So all I'm saying is that I do agree, keep your hands to yourself, and somebody is going to push you, be expecting if someone will probably push back, but it's better to get a teacher, though, or a coach. All I'm saying is the lethal force in that circumstance in their tent at a school, I don't think the lethal force was necessary. Right, Shell. Exactly. So, Greg, I do agree. Self-defense is important, and do not push people. No, everybody keeps their hands to themselves, because there might be someone that is to that extent. Like, somebody pushes someone, they will push back. Right. And I want to respond to Libby, because she was saying, I love rap that you can dance to. I'm not into the hardcore rap all about deleting. Yeah, that's true. I love upbeat hip-hop. I like dancing and drink and be hip and be happy. And Libby, that's what music is. Libby, that music is, and laughter is their best medicine. And I think that it's important for people to have laughter and dance, and that's good they could do that. And Greg said, people used to pick fights with me when I was small. The problem is when you're strong, you need extra self-control. Amen. Because you don't want to delete someone on accident. I agree. With great, as they say in Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility. And that's absolutely true. Now, I like to train, and you and I both train, and you don't want to accidentally delete somebody. And very good, Greg. And I'm glad that you built yourself up. You became very strong. You have a very cool channel. And, no one would want to pick a fight with you. One of my other friends, he also worked out, and no one want to mess with him. So that I think is the healthiest route. Now, I will want to say, with Martello, whatever the dude's name is, the one with the knife. In the hood, and especially in public schools, from what I learned about it from my friends that were in public schools, in the neighborhood, is that people, and ABL himself also said, is that they brought weapons to school a lot. People would bring weapons to school. And I think that it's a different. They shouldn't do that, but he had a different type of mentality, especially in the hood. You have people, you have gunshots, not as frequently because I believe the governor and the police have done a better job at dealing with the violence. But there's like gunshot, pew pew shots that'll happen sometimes, and fights will happen at a drop of a hat. They'll just be like a bunch of like a pit bulls fighting each other, or a bunch of alligators or sharks fighting each other. So I do think they had a different type of upbringing. That doesn't mean it was right what they did. And he should have known that at that school that he was at, he was not going to be murdered or deleted if the guy pushed him. And a different type of cultural, views on things, which is not a good cultural view, of course. They shouldn't do that over there. But he was not in a life-threatening situation, in my opinion. But hey, fights can get really bad. And as I said, all opinions are welcome. We're having an open discussion about this. Okay. And also, Greg says, fun fact, I started lifting weights to defend myself from crazy people, and depending on what state you live in, law might not be on your side. Understood. And Shell says, you're hanging around the wrong type of crowd if people want to fight you. Ah, yes. Yes. Very, very well said, Shell. And like what was said by one of the very good chat members we have here, is that you have to beware of the company you keep. All right? Beware of the company you keep. Libby says, I'm not being white or black, but I believe that some of these rich kids that were raised rich and go to these preppy schools, then go drink underage and stab someone, is he trying to show off? And nothing is going to happen to them. They trying to look cool. You're referring to the preppy trial. I agree, Libby. And it's unfortunate. It's very irresponsible. Because people could be from a wealthy, influential family, but with great power comes great responsibility. And I think that people need to not do that where they're going to be responsible with it, because it just defeats the whole purpose and you're going into a deadly cycle. Like, hard times create strong men. Strong men make good times. And then good times make men weak. And Greg said it's a jobs. I worked. Yeah, so he was a security guard or something, he was saying. Okay. Libby says nothing is going to happen. Okay. Yeah, okay. Understood. Yeah, so I think with the preppy trial, they're just a bunch of snobby garbage cans. Like, I went to a private school that was not cheap at all. And there was some kids that had problems that came from wealthy families that had some problems, but not all of them, which was good to see. And my family would say is, we are not the richest people on planet Earth, but I will say that I was, through my faith in God and through choice of, let's say, my own choice, and I was raised properly. I was raised as a gentleman would be raised. And also the school I went to was of other gentlemen, classy people too. What I mean by classy, anybody of any class, rich or poor, can be classy. Anybody could be a gentleman, rich or poor. A lot of wealthy people are not gentlemen, they're savages. So I was raised to be a gentleman, and I kept to that, and other people did too. So that, I understand, Libby, it is, very good. And Alexa Rose was saying that I am not like one of those young people that were doing the stabbing. And I'm not like that. These people were a bunch of, morons, snappy with the prosecutor, being a bunch of, being stupid, definitely. Hello, Dwayne. It's great to see you, sir. Welcome. A shout out to you and Sharon. And we are having a civilized discussion about some trials and other things that are going on. And chat is doing excellent. Y'all are doing excellent with this. And Greg said, when I worked in retail, some people tried to rob my store. They thought I was a punk. After the point, I started lifting. Yeah, yeah. And you see, Greg lifted, he worked out, and he's, built like the Hulk. That's how you're supposed to do. You're not supposed to get a knife and stab someone in the chest when, the other guy did. So, but also, I'm glad that he can, like, relate to it, but he chose a better way of expressing himself. And when you work out, it's better for your mind, your body, your health. Everything's better for you when you lift. Libby says, I've been in so many fights when I was younger, a ton of fights. I never would delete someone. Drinking Stelzer. Do you mix liquor with Stelzer? Now, it's been a long. Now, I don't know enough about that to comment on it. Now, I don't know what Stelzer is. I know with a certain drinks you don't mix. Like, you don't mix light drinks with dark drinks. So I don't know enough about Stelzer to comment on what that is. It's actually been a very long time since I drank something. It's been a couple of. I will drink something on New Year's or 4th of July, or I'll drink something, a wine here and there, but I don't really. I've not drank in a while. I've just been focused on YouTube. Yes, Greg, we need to be better people physically and mentally. I agree, definitely. Absolutely. And also, people will go by their emotions a lot of times. Like, people, if they're angry or something, they go by their emotions, but it's good to go by logic and reason. Like, if basically, easier said than done, and I'm not perfect. We're all still works in progress, and I am a work in progress. But when a monk was saying, like on YouTube, one of the influencers that's a monk was saying that when someone, if you're angry, wait for the anger to subside to make a decision. Like, say if somebody is, like, gets pushed, they could wait a moment, if it's not a life or death situation, to see, to make a decision. Because I think that it's best not to act on impulse. I think a lot of school shooters and people that do stuff like that are, people that do things like that are really in their emotions and their pride, exactly. And they're not being logical and calm. Like, I believe a man should be calm, should have to not go by emotions only. It's not, no one's perfect. No one's perfect. But I think that would be the best way to go. But a lot of people these days go by what they feel. And I think that the political environment and the way society moved in a different direction, it caused an imbalance of how people acted, and it caused trouble. Like, nothing wrong with men showing emotion or showing feeling, but when people did it too much, you make a monster. It makes someone very dangerous, like the shooters that we see and the people stabbing each other. You create a monster. Now, aggression is important if you're trying to defend yourself or or stand up for a cause. Like, say, like the YouTube channels. It's good to stand for a cause and use in a constructive way. But when aggression's used in a bad way, you get people that do evil things. And like, people that are sitting in jail right now, millions of people sitting in jail, men and women, they could have done something different. Oh, hello, Liberty. It's great to see you. Oh, hello, Scared. Tender Love. It's great to see you. And all those preppy boys in that trial, oh, I had a Stelzer, but they got mixed with something. Ah, yes, I think that they got mixed with something. I agree. Emotions are pride. I don't fight no more, y'all. I'm 49. I will if I have to, but age, we don't need to fight. Ah, yeah, very good, very good. And too many boys are raised by their mothers. The fathers are either weak or not there. Yeah, exactly, exactly. And I was raised by my mom and my grandparents, her parents, and I still came out well because I had a good family and I had a choice to do the right thing or not. And it was best actually for me to not be around my father. He was a weak person. He was not a person to be around, and I'm glad that I'm not like him. Well, I have good attributes of my father before he got weird. But he had some issue. He was too in his emotions. He's better now, but he was too in his emotions. But I do agree it's good to have a stable mother or father or grandparents or something, a stable family for a person that's growing up. So yeah, I do agree that people need to develop, have a good, healthy development as they grow up. Yeah. Okay, mouse went out for a moment. Yeah, and I think the rise politically of the decay of the civilization of the West caused a all these problems to happen, in my opinion. Alrighty. Come on, Paige. It's going to be okay. Oh, there we go. So, hello, everybody. Yes, so we are. Yeah, very good point, Greg. Very good point. I do agree that being raised by their mothers only, or especially a man, because I believe that men need to take responsibility and accountability for everything that they do. Everything that happens is a man's accountability. So I do think that with the father not being present or being weak caused the problem to occur. And they'll be in their emotions. They won't be in their logical reasoning, because you don't want people to have like a women are fine, but for a man to act too emotional, and a man was not supposed to act too emotional, and say he's like in tune with his feminine side, as they say, it will, you're gonna get a monster out of it, and you have a broken family. It's not good. Like in the Marxists thought that like people that the nuclear family was not good, and it would cause corruption because it was oppression of women. And I think that they could, if their idea was right, they didn't do it properly, because when they got rid of the nuclear family, it caused a lot of problems to people. Libby says, all right, alien in chat, I gotta get ready for bed. I have a very complicated job. I must get plenty of sleep. Love y'all lots. Have a good night. Well, Libby, thank you for chatting with us. It was a pleasure having you on the spaceship, and have a good night. Thank you for coming. And Shell said the norm is a broken family and kids on electronics instead of outside playing. Very sad. And now, when I was a kid growing up, my mom always had me playing outside and doing activities, and I went to summer camps with activities, I went to schools with activities. And you see, I will say it's very important to have that. When I was a kid, it was the early 2000s. I was only 1 year old in 99. All right, so I was in the 90s, but not for long at all. But when I was growing up, it was a lot like the 90s. It was still in that state, like back in time. That's how my mom raised me. And a lot of the vehicles that they had were like from the 80s and 90s. So, and I had VHS tapes and DVDs, and I didn't have video games until I was a little bit older, because my mom did not think it was good for me. So I had costumes, I played pretend and stuff, I had toys. So I grew up like people in the previous decades would have grown up. And a DVD came out. Well, it was already out, but I got the DVD later. I remember you had to rewind something. Remember that with a VHS tape. But all the iPads and the tablets, I think they're a good purpose and they're good and educational for people to have. But too much of anything is not good. Everything is good in balance. The yin yang. Life was good before social media. Now, I do think with social media, good things did come out of it in connecting people together, and that's one way we're communicating. But a con of social media is that people get addicted to things, and people do things unhealthily, like alcohol. Like, alcohol could be good or bad, it just depends. And also, I think that I missed the good years. And so that is what I did with my upbringing. So my upbringing was different. But I do think that the social media serves a good purpose, but people are on TikTok too much. They're on those Instagrams too much. They're dead scrolling. So I do think there needs to be a balance about it. But in before social media, it was healthier for society. But I do think those people, in my opinion, would have done something else unhealthy because some people were just going to fall away. But I do think that social media has pros and cons to it. And I will say, though, in my opinion, respectfully, is that I do like the 80s and 90s, and those were great time periods. But I can't deny that I love growing up in this time period of technology. I used it in a positive way, and I'm glad that I can listen to music with wireless headphones. And I could use like YouTube and stuff and educational. So I do like the era that I grew up in because before the technology was more primitive. So I say that I like this era that I'm in, but I do acknowledge the cons about it. Definitely. So I will say that I like being the time that I grew up in. So I did see the early 2000s. I did get a taste of the 90s and 80s, how it was back then. And so I experienced both sort of, but I do admire the era that y'all grew up in. And y'all were around the 80s and 90s. That was a great time period and before that. So that was an amazing time for the country. I do agree, but there was issues back then in other ways, but still I think that was a good time too. And I respect that. And I do agree with social media has corrupted many people and has caused problems. And people, it depends how people use it. For instance, Shell, I do think that like when we're in the chat rooms and how you were able to connect with people through the different chat rooms, I think is good. But at the same time, many people have unhealthy relationships, and there's a lot of loneliness that has happened because of social media. And people, it's good for people to see each other in person. I think that is essential. And people need to do that. And as I said, people can be online and in person. I think both are good. But I do acknowledge that it is unnatural and unhealthy for people to excessively be only online and not be out and seeing different things. So I do think that upsetting the natural order is wrong. But online with the internet in moderation, I think would be good, but people go to extremes. So I think people that go to extremes, it's not good what they do when they go to that extreme and not connecting online. Wired headphones are not that bad. I agree. And I have wired headphones right now. But with the wireless headphones, I could get up and go to another room and still listen to something. I think that's incredible. And with these type of headphones, you're just stuck to this here. So I think that the technology advancing was good in some ways, and that with AI, you could create so much artwork and music and things and movies, but it could also be used for something bad too. Like there were bars and pubs, and all the time periods in the dawn of time, people got drunk at pubs, at bars, and got in fights. And people watched too much television. So I think in every generation there are people that misuse the gifts that they were given in a wrong way. But I do agree, I'm not denying, and I do certainly agree that there is a problem with social media and people have become corrupted by it. But also, it's a yin-yang. That also it did good things too. So I'm not going to deny the good things that it did, but I'm not going to deny the bad things it may have done too. 1978, 1971. Oh, the 70s. That was a good time period. Well, the Vietnam War happened then, so that wasn't really too good. And a lot of people got slaughtered for no reason. But still, it was... Shout out to the veterans, though. They did a great work for the country in serving overseas, and they were treated terribly when they got back, and they shouldn't have been treated bad. So, with the 70s, that was even better. That was even better than the other previous generations in the 60s. So... I think that people need to get outside more and not be on social media as much. And I think with people, they need to not be, need to go outside and play more. And Shell, for instance, so many people are not healthy physically. They have unhealthy habits with things they watch that are not good. They intoxicate themselves with it. Oh, you see the effects on your grandkids. Oh, and I understand. And I do think that with the technology, it should be done in moderation, and it shouldn't be overdone. And kids need to get outside. They need to play sports. And if some kids may be better without the technology, they shouldn't have it. Like, for instance, I didn't have video games and DVDs and stuff when I was very little until I got a little bit older. So maybe technology would be best when they're a little bit older. Whenever I get kids, which many of you would be cautious about bringing kids in the world in this day and age, I agree. But whenever I do that, in their earlier years, I'm not going to have them with that type of technology until they're a little bit older. I think that's the best thing. But Shell, I completely agree with you 100%. 100%. And back before social media and technology, kids are playing outside. They're doing things they're supposed to do, playing with toys. That's what I did growing up. So I do completely agree with you all. Absolutely. That it did that. And that is unfortunate that people abused and misused the technology they were given. Thank you, Greg, for your donation. I really appreciate that, buddy. And shout out to all of you watching and viewing the stream. I appreciate that also. And I really enjoy this discussion we're having. Thank you, chat. And we all seem to the same wavelength in here, despite the wide age range. Yes. And remember, I was around my grandparents growing up. I was not around I was around my mom, but I was as I said, if my father was not into intoxicating himself and doing things he wasn't supposed to do, he would have been okay. And my uncle was all right too. My uncle agrees like what you and I think, chat. So I talk to my uncle quite frequently. And oh, hello, Mary. It's great to see you. And thank you for your donation, Mary. And thank you for the cat. So Aaron, we're talking about technology and how it has corrupted. It may have done a negative effect on the people coming up. And before that, we were talking about Carmelo, who stabbed the football player. And we were talking about the Preppy trial, too. So it has to do with the Preppy trial. And I am looking into the Israel-Iran updates about the conflict with that. Because it seems like a big mess. So that is what we are discussing. So basically, my uncle agrees with us that he believes that before technology, it was better for people. Before they had the social media, it was better for young people coming up. So that's seems to be unanimously agreed on that. And another thing about my uncle's cool people, but my dad's brother, and also my mom's family, which I was around my mom's family the most. Completely. The most all the time. And my mom raised me very well. And I was around my grandparents, my mom's parents. And they were very good with me. And they're from the 40s. And they grew up in the 50s. So I was around people that grew up in the 50s and 40s. That's how I am. So another reason why I do well with the other generations, by God's divine wisdom and God blessing me and nurturing me through wisdom, through the Holy Spirit, in my opinion, which I believe is a fact. Also, I was raised properly, and by people from another time period when they weren't people that are being goofy now. So yeah, I think that with social media, kids need to get outside and not play on their iPads and tablets. They need to get out and do something. I think when kids are a little bit older, they could go on the computer and stuff. I got a computer when I was a little bit older, and I think that what Mary says is something that I left out. And I love reading books and reading stuff all the time, but I read stuff on the internet more. Mary says kids need to read more on actual book to go outside and be creative and get off the phone and computer and goodness sake. Yes, Mary, I do agree. That is so true. The result of technology has been exactly how it was designed, keeping us addicted in dopamine hosts. And yes, and you see let's go Dodgers. You see another thing about that is when we were focusing on the social media does stuff to make you addicted to it. It does the algorithm and stuff. It does do stuff to make you addicted. Now, people can use it for communication, expression. People can use it for watching videos. But at the same time, I do agree that it does have addictive things in it. Aaron said, yes, Alien, I love this. It's obvious you were raised great, but I knew it was connected with you being an old souls. Thank you. Yes, I am an old soul. That's also true. I've been called that quite a bit throughout my life. And I am thankful to God for all the great victories and things that I've experienced in my life and the proper guidance. Yeah, bring back the payphones and Blockbuster. Because I was also talking about when I got stung by a caterpillar for the first time. I was stung by a caterpillar after, well, I was wearing a Superman costume going through a tree that fell over, and a caterpillar was crawling on me. And it was after I went to Blockbuster and got the King Kong movie. I miss Blockbuster and payphones. That was good too. And Aaron said, my grandmother was my best friend, and she passed at 94 and literally partied to the end. Her funeral had too many people and broke fire code. Oh, well, rest in peace to your grandmother. She sounds like an amazing person like you, Aaron. And yeah, because it's good to have family that, a good upbringing. You know, and Shell says, I brought my grandkids a trampoline. That's very good. But the condition was my kids had to put it together. When the grandkids are here, they are not on electronics. So that's good, Shell. I'll tell you a trampoline story. One of my best friends I grew up with in the neighborhood, down the street. He's a rapper and he's a producer. He's very talented. I learned a lot about music and stuff from him and his friends. So I grew up. He was a neighbor of mine. I grew up with him. I met him in 2009. So I grew up with him, and basically they they had a very big trampoline, and him and I would bounce on the trampoline and play all day long. And we were doing the we watched Transformers and stuff too. That's something we like to watch. Yeah, we played with trampoline. We played games and stuff. We played video games and the trampoline. We did both. So I love the trampoline. That's very fun. When I was at the JCC, I did gymnastics and I learned about Olympic swimming and stuff. And oh, hello, Joe Schmo. Great to see you, bro. Blockbuster, Nintendo, Super Mario Bros. And the whole weekend was a bomb diggity. You probably didn't get to experience. Now, actually, I did go to Blockbuster when I was a kid, but I did not experience it until like after 2008 when they closed. I didn't get to experience it, but I did experience Blockbuster, and I did play the Super Mario from the 90s. I played my best friend that I talk about aliens with, and Joe Schmo. It's great to see you, buddy. Thank you. Welcome to the chat. He was the one that got me into aliens, and I consider him responsible for this alien movement that we did. So shout out to him. He gave me a DS one time, and also because I had a Game Boy, as because he gave it to me as a gift, and he gave me the Super Mario Bros. Game. So I did get to play the Super Mario game, but it was from like the early 2000s and 90s, so Super Mario World. But the one that you're referring to, the older version, I did play it when I was a kid, but it was not the original. It was like from the Nintendo store, like from the downloaded to the DSi. So I did not experience it directly from that time, but I did have a Timu version of that where I watched, the Naruto. That was something that was on at the time. I did play Mario growing up, and I also went to Blockbuster briefly while it was still around. So I got a taste of it, but I didn't. I played Mario for many years. I still play it, but I've not played video games in a while, except this one. But I didn't experience a lot of the stuff you're referring to for a brief time. But yes, it was very good times, absolutely. And definitely, I watched Harold Lloyd silent movies when I was a kid. Definitely way more before my time. I also watched The Three Stooges and The Untouchables. Oh, that was a very good one. Yeah. I'm just seeing if I missed anything. All right, whatever. So, love The Three Stooges Mary every evening before school. That's why I hate people complain about getting old at 50. I like you're literally halfway through your life. I love getting older. Yeah. Oh, that's a great attitude, Aaron. That's a great attitude. And Mary said, I was watch Roy Rogers, the TV show, and also way before my time. Alien, did you see the giant alligator at Cato Lake? I didn't. I'm going to go look at that right now. And Also, I'm 53, no complaints here. I worked hard when I was younger and now retired. Time is what I value now. Yeah, time is something you never get back. And every day, I ask myself, if it's the last day of my life, would I do the thing that I'm about to do? And sometimes you need discipline to do things that you got to do. And just do the thing you're passionate about because life is just too short. And that it's important to value time because time is something money can never buy. But money is important to have, though, to have the time to do what you need to do. Money is power, money is a tool that's essential. So they're both like a yin and yang. So they're very wise, Shell, very wise. And let's see this alligator. Okay. All right, let's see what this is about. The giant alligator. I think I saw that before. I think I know what you're talking about. I didn't know what the place was called, but I did see a giant alligator. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Anything else? My space was cool, but it went to hell after that. Yeah, payphones still should be around. I agree. I think Uber began the downfall of this country. Yeah, to an extent, most likely. All right. All right. I'm just making sure I'm not missing anything. All right. Hollywood was one of my favorites. Blockbuster, KM, Toys R Us, GameStop, Sam Goody was amazing. Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right, I'm all caught up now. Mary Toodles, I watched. Okay, Andy Griffith. And Greg, actually, I like the digital age that I'm in. Yeah, because it's just the technology that I have. I wouldn't trade it for anything. As I use the technology wisely, and Blockbuster, I did experience it briefly, and that would have been cool to have. But I can't deny the technology, the digital age. I mean, I could go live on YouTube and talk to people all over the world. I could communicate so much differently than before. It just I'm a computer person. I'm like kind of nerdy with the computers. So yeah, I can't part with the digital age. But I don't abuse it. I go outside. While I'm outside, I've used it and like listen to things. So yeah, I'm an exception, but I do think the blockbusters and stuff that was a very cool era, and I'm glad that I got to experience it briefly. And I would have liked to experience it hypothetically. Yeah. And also, Shell says, okay, I keep my girls getting job. All right, I'm gonna read about the huge alligator in Cato Lake. But shout out to Blockbuster and all the places that closed. Man catches huge alligator on Cato Lake. That's a big alligator. Look at this. Look at this. Right, and look at that. That's the huge alligator that an alligator that was caught at Cato Lake. That's really big. Scared. Dramatic photos of a huge alligator deleted on Cato Lake almost seemed too big to be true. The images have attracted a lot of attention on social media. We're reading more about it. So it went to East Texas to investigate. Let's learn more. The amateur alligator hunter Jeremy Moore described the moments he and his dad and two young sons spotted a huge alligator on a farm on a family friend's property in the Gray community of Maroon County, Texas, along Cato Lake. Quote, we opened the gate to go and it wasn't even in the water. He was on the bank on our property, recalled Moore. Is somebody with me in the game? Okay, it's just a game doing its own thing, okay. Moore said their adventure all began back on Sunday, May 22, in Clinton Lake area of Cato Lake. Quote, we eased up there to him, actually thought that it was deleted. The giant alligator then left its head, so they shot it. Quote, kids kind of freaked out because they don't stop moving. And when they're deleted, they still move, reaction, their tail flinches, and this and that. So the kids wouldn't really mess with it for a couple of hours. According to Moore, the gator measured 13 feet 2 inches and weighed 900 pounds. Wow. So it was 13 feet 2 inches, 13 feet 2 inches. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool, Liberty. You see, it serves a good purpose in a way. When people can get their stuff delivered to them or do an Uber, it can serve a good purpose. But in moderation, if someone does something to an unhealthy extent, that's not good. So this is what I think. I think technology is a great thing and a great tool. But if it's not used with anything else, too much of anything's bad. So I think that people are just like with people that are alcoholics or people that misuse things. So I think that with technology being used properly, it could be a great essential tool. You need a yin and a yang. My girlfriend that I had, my ex, you could say, when I was in school, taught me that, and that was something very, very wise. A yin and a yang. So, and according to the two Texas game wardens, it's real and Moore followed all the proper procedures. As for Moore, he said while that was their first gator hunt, he does not expect it to be their last. Although Moore added that the next time they'll try to catch a smaller gator. He said that it's largely because the huge amount of work involved that they had to use a tractor and front end loader and lay the gator on a 24 trailer. And to skin and butcher it. That alone took 5 hours and 3 generations at work. If you watch Dateline, etc., they buy a lot of the same stuff. Oh, okay. That's cool. I like Dateline. Yeah, some of our friends go over there. There was my dad, me, and my two boys, so that's the 3 generations that will be talking about this, and it's something that we won't ever forget. Concluded Moore. In Texas, you can only hunt for alligators on private property during the hunting season. Although you are allowed to set a line and hook that extends above public water to entice the gator and private property, then you can send for an alligator tag afterwards by mailing in a form of the Texas Parks and Wildlife Office in Austin. I used to buy rap CDs. Oh, I remember we used to have CDs in the car. And CDs are pretty cool with the artwork and stuff on it. I do like iTunes, but also the CDs and stuff were nice also. Maroon and Harrison counties are considered non-core counties because of a smaller alligator populations. The non-core gator season runs from April 1 to June 30, and hunters must have a general hunting license Texas game warden and Darren Peoples said violators of those laws could face a fine range from $25 to $50 as a Class C misdemeanor. Oh, we use both. We use Law and Crime Trials and Law and Crime Network. It just depends on what trial is on. Yeah, Liberty knows me from Smoke and Scan. Shout out to the Smoke and Scan fam. I learned a lot from Damon. I learned a lot from him. You know, he has a lot of good advice, and he's very funny. Different laws apply in Louisiana where there is a west zone and an east zone. Northwest Louisiana falls in the west zone where gator hunter season begins the first Wednesday in September and continues for 30 days. The east zone season begins the last Wednesday of August. Also continues 30 days in Louisiana. Hunters need specific alligator hunting license and must have it before the season starts. I'll buy some CDs on eBay from time to time. The other one's called Network, Law and Crime Network. Dodgers says Gregatron, the old rap CDs from the 90s, are being sold for a lot of money now on eBay. Oh, yeah, definitely. They're vintage. I'm going to see if there's Israel-Iran updates. All right, it looks like things are going easy. All right, so this is the newest update. About the conflict in the Middle East. GOP senators say they'll need more information to know if Iran, or Iran, like we have to say, nuclear program was destroyed. Republican senators are waiting for more information about the state of Iran's nuclear program and what could come next after U.S. strikes on facilities over the weekend. The need for more information comes against the backdrop of CNN reporting that the U.S. No, Liberty, it's free. It's all free. You can join their membership thing, but no, it's free to subscribe to Law and Crime Network. It's free. You just subscribe and that's it. The need for more information comes against the backdrop of CNN reporting that U.S. military strikes on 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities last week did not destroy the core components of the nuclear program and likely only set it back by months. According to the early U.S. intelligence assessment, the early findings are at odds with President Trump's repeated claims that the strikes completely obliterated Iran's nuclear enrichment facilities. Now, as I said, we have to see. You know, if this is true or not. This is just speculation. The Trump administration postponed classified briefings for the White House and Senate on Tuesday, with House briefings on Friday and senators on Thursday, leaving Democratic lawmakers saying that they have a lot of questions, and many of the GOP backfiring on President Donald Trump. GOP Senator Rand Paul, who has been skeptical of President's decision to strike Iran without congressional approval, warned that the strikes could backfire if they encouraged Iran to jump up its nuclear program. Senator Majority Leader John Thune couldn't confirm Tuesday if Iran's nuclear program completely obliterated, as Trump has said, but knows if their nuclear program was set back considerably at the victory of the region, but our country's security interests. All right. All right. It says Israel will respond forcefully to any ceasefire violations. UN ambassador says. Danny Danon, Israel's ambassador to the United Nations, said this country would respond forcefully if violations of ceasefire that has been struck with Iran. Speaking to UN Security Council Tuesday, Danon echoed other Israeli officials that thanking President Trump for his role in the ceasefire he announced on Monday. He reiterated that Israel struck severe blow to Iran attacks on Iran regime targets. Iran's nuclear ambassador thanks Qatar, as it's called Qatar, but we like to say Qatar, for its role in ceasefire. Did you see the trucks from Fordro? So many speculation that enriched uranium was moved. I don't know. Yeah, I've not heard about that, Cecil, but that makes sense. That may have happened possibly. Iran's nuclear, Iran's United Nations envoy Amir Saeed Aravani thanked Qatar for its role in the Iran-Israel ceasefire in the UN Security Council meeting on Tuesday. Liberty, I'm going to send you the link to Law and Crime right now, okay? I got you. Page is loading. It is free to subscribe to their channel. It doesn't cost anything. Yeah, thank you, Cecil. I am high tech. Thanks. Right now at the law and crime trials, we're watching the Preppy murder trial, and we're watching the other trial with the boyfriend murder trial. That's the two that we're watching now at the law and crime trials. All right, and this is what the Iran's people said, quote, I wish to sincerely thank our brotherly and friendly nation. Well, Liberty, you might be already subscribed to their channel, because we sent you the link before. So yeah, you may have already been subscribed to them, and that's the other option that you have, but it's free to subscribe to it. Let's see. That's why I'm thinking she already subscribed to it. Let's see. Shout out to the Spaceship Cats. This is the link that I sent you. All right. You see subscribe for free or try it free for 7 days. Join. So it says subscribe right in the middle. So you may have already been subscribed to it. What we are watching is the Preppy murder trial on Law and Crime Trials, the other channel. And we're watching the boyfriend murder trial. All right, so this channel right here. All right, so you have the Preppy murder trial. The two we're watching is the Preppy trial, and the bald guy with the beard is the missing boyfriend trial. Right, it was a gay couple, and the guy's boyfriend's missing, so they think that he did it. The Preppy high school trial, it's somebody, a 17-year-old got stabbed, and you have a bunch of like people on the stand doing their thing, and then you like say like around here, like that was Monica Cementelli, her being sentenced, and also you have the Koberger thing. That's Idaho little Koberger. You're welcome. You're welcome, Liberty. All right. Let's continue with the updates. All right. So at the UN, I wish to sincerely thank our brotherly and friendly nation, the state of Qatar, for its sincere and diplomatic efforts to help Israeli aggression establish a ceasefire to prevent further escalation of regional tensions and threaten peace and stability in the region, the Iranian diplomatic told the council. Aravini's expression of gratitude to Qatar comes a day after Iran launched an attack on U.S. airbase in the Gulf country. Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Ibrahim bin Jassim Al Thani secured Iran's agreement on Monday. A diplomat briefed the talks, told CNN, finally allowing U.S. President Trump to announce the ceasefire on social media. There is no need for some GOP lawmakers to downplay the need for a classified briefing on Iran. Madraw, yeah, that is a good. That's one that we watched. All right, so Cecil says Christopher was using Barry's credit cards in his vehicle. Christopher is a total dingbat. Thank you. And Preppy and boyfriend trial. All right, thank you. Chat. All right. Yeah, they aren't the sharpest, right? Yeah, you can talk more. It's all good. There's no need to. Okay, so while Democrats have been furious that Trump administration abruptly canceled a pair of classified briefings scheduled for Tuesday, many Republicans downplayed the need for lawmakers to brief on the unfolding situation in the first place, as the party largely lines up behind President Trump. Rep. Tony Gonzalez of Texas, who spent more than 20 years serving in the military, told CNN he wouldn't tell any members of Congress anything classified if you didn't want people to know. He added, the really sensitive stuff, there's no need to know. All other details comes out so fast. Others like Rep. Jake Elzey of Texas, who served 20 years in the Navy as a helicopter pilot, said he was satisfied with just members of GOP leadership getting classified briefings. Rep. Zach Nunn, if they wanted to do it right, they should watch shows like Dateline to see how others were caught and avoid doing those things. Yeah, definitely, Liberty. I agree. And also with law and crime trials, there's things to learn from there too. I know Cecil. No matter what he does, they're not going to be happy. I agree. And absolutely, Democrats that have been difficult to get information. I think that this is a group of people who are playing political theater, trying to come up with any theory they can so they can go and get some attention, he said, adding that he has used tools like Google Maps to find information himself. While Republicans were willing to criticize the canceling of Tuesday's classified briefings, Thomas Macy of Kentucky, who has sought to reassert Congress's authority over military action, told CNN there's been no information. Israel extends mobilization order for reservists until July 10. Israel has extended its order on July 10 to reservists to step into duty after approval from Knesset's Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee. Israel has relatively small standing military but much larger reserve corps. Upon it, which relies during an extended conflict earlier this year, the military said it would mobilize tens of thousands of reservists in an expansion of its offensive in Gaza. Israeli reservists had been increasingly vocal since Israel broke the ceasefire with Hamas earlier this year and resumed the war, questioning the government's commitment to negotiating returns and remaining hostages in Gaza. In sign of growing protest movements, revisionists have called for the immediate return of hostages, even if it requires an immediate ceasefire. And the ceasefire is still on. Yeah. Yeah, so the ceasefire is still in effect. Right. And also, Cecil, these, and if I will say, for instance, if Israel existed or not, because there's a debate about Israel and what it does. I think that, with their interpretation of their religion and the government that is there, similar to like the Taliban, it would not have liked the West or America if Israel existed or not. So I think that they would be very concerned about it. So I think that if they felt that it was the best thing to do, they did what they felt was best. Right. I understand, Cecil. Yes. Right. So yeah, Cecil, I agree. But I do hope that they can seek peace. And if Iran, now there's a lot of questions about regime change, what they did with Gaddafi and with Saddam Hussein. There was this debate about the West, with imperialism and stuff like that, and hopefully, like with this situation, that the people there would do it, and not the West doing anything, just taking out some nuclear. And see what when the Trump went in, he didn't attack people or anything, just the nuclear plants, and I think that if there is a negotiation table to talk about this in a peaceful manner to resolve this. Yes, yes. And I'm not against Muslims or Jews, and I think both are great people. And there are Muslims in Israel that are in their army. But yes, I think Jews are fine. Also, now there are Jews that are against Israel and the Zionist movement, though. So if someone was against Israel, doesn't mean they're anti-Semitic. But yeah, I think Jews are fine. Alien, have you read Behold a Pale Horse by William Cooper? No, I've not read that, but I'll look into it. Thank you. All right, so this is something from a minute ago. Trump pushes back on CNN report about the intel assessment suggesting strikes on Iran didn't destroy nuclear sites. All right, so pushback on CNN reporting. Okay, so Trump is pushing back on CNN. So Trump pushed, like I told you all with the news, and you are again. Hello, the white man. It's good to see you, buddy. And he says, I am against the Muggles. Okay. And Trump pushes back on CNN reporting about the intel assessment suggesting strikes on Iran didn't destroy the nuclear sites. And in a post on Truth Social, U.S. President Donald Trump disputed. I'm not too sure what Muggles are exactly either. In a post on Truth Social, U.S. President Donald Trump disputed CNN reporting that an early U.S. intelligence assessment suggested that strikes targeting Iran's nuclear facility did not destroy the components of its nuclear program. And Trump, who is in the Netherlands, attends this week's NATO summit, called the strikes one of the most successful military strikes in history, adding that the nuclear sites in Iran are completely destroyed. And earlier Tuesday, CNN reported that the U.S. military... All right, the white man, thank you for checking in. And now, personally, like, I think with people, I go by person to person. I don't go by, say, what religion they believe in, but I understand some groups may be more violent than others. But yeah, I just go by a person themselves and not by a group collectively. So I just don't think everybody in a specific group of people they're all bad. Like, I don't think that, in my opinion. But thank you for checking in, the white man. It's always nice to have you check in. And that's just my opinion. People are entitled to have the opinions that they like to have. That's fine. Right, earlier Tuesday, CNN reported that the U.S. military strikes on 3 of Iran's nuclear facilities last week, likely only a set of the country's nuclear program by the months, according to an early U.S. intelligence assessment that was described by several people briefed on it. And me too, alien, that's the only way to do it. Right. Now, I know the Muggles are from Harry Potter, I think. The Muggles are from Harry Potter. Yeah, I know what Muggles are. Yeah, those are it's something from Harry Potter, the Muggles. So with the Muggles, though, I don't know about them. The white man may have a point on that with the Muggles. So we will, and also speaking of Muggles, Although, now with my glasses. Oh, and thank you, the white man, for the donation. Thank you, the white man. Now, speaking of Muggles, I like Harry Potter. I'm an enthusiast with it, and basically with my glasses, when I wear glasses, I look like Harry Potter. Without the glasses, I look kind of like Tom Riddle. the He was the one that becomes Voldemort. Now I have this right here. This is from the Slytherin. It's a Slytherin scarf. Now I do have a jacket of Gryffindor, which was Harry Potter's group. But the jacket, I grew out of it, so I have to get a new one. But so I have both from both parts of it. So yeah, I remember what Muggles are. And yeah, shout out to you all in chat. I appreciate y'all. Yeah, Muggles. I had to see when I'm doing a stream and stuff. I sometimes forget things I usually would remember, but yeah, I remember now. So, and then okay, the K.R. Kelly trial. I'm not familiar with that one. I don't know. That's certainly not on right now. And let's see. So the president's firing back at CNN. That's why I told you with CNN, we look at CNN to report news, but we also acknowledge that not everything they say is completely true. Oh yeah, Harry Potter he has a wand. Okay, so he was an orphan. Oh, hello, Cat. It's great to see you. So Harry Potter is like his both his parents were deleted by Voldemort, and his parents adopted him, and his aunt. I should remember this. It's either his aunt and his uncle adopted him or something like that, and they were kind of abusive to him, and he went through a lot of hardships. So the whole point of the story is that he goes through a lot of hardships, but he perseveres at the end, and he wins. But he goes through a lot of messed up things, and a lot of people get deleted. Yeah, so without giving any kind of spoilers. So basically, yeah, he has a wand, and I like reading the books, and I like reading the different stuff about it. So I watched it since I was a kid, and I also like reading the books. And the books give more detail about it. Shout out to Cat TV, cool people. So, Harry Potter, I remember how he was able to, he was, half, like, so you have Muggles and you have the different people. And so Voldemort is he's a half. He's not even a full wizard, but he has this concept of that everybody has to be a pure wizard. There's the Muggles and the pure wizards. And you don't know about Harry Pothead? I know about Harry Pothead. My cousin made a meme about that one time. So that's what he did. So he has to fight Voldemort, which is his enemy. So Voldemort's like this snake-looking dude, but when he was younger, he looked like me. Say he looked like something like me when Voldemort was younger. But he had a hard life like Harry Potter, but he chose a darker path. We were talking before about the shooters and Carmelo. You see how like Gregatron works out, and he did something productive. But you see, the other guy got a knife and didn't even know what to do with it, but he could delete somebody. So the thing with the other guy, with Voldemort, he went down the path of dark magic. So there is this forbidden book. This is not in the movies. There's this forbidden book that talks about really dark magic that no one's supposed to know about in the sequestered part of the library at Hogwarts. And Voldemort, Tom Riddle, goes and learns everything about it. And he works somewhere for a little while, and then he tries to go back to Hogwarts to teach about dark magic. Then he just comes up with his own group of people to talk about dark magic with. And he believes that all wizards should be a pure blood and not muggle blood. But he's not even pure himself. So he's kind of like the Austrian mustache man, Hitler. Like, he's compared to Hitler a lot. So that is the point of the story. And And basically, y'all know about Harry Potter. Harry Potter. I remember Twilight. I like the Twilight series. I remember when that was coming out, and I've seen the movies of Twilight. I remember that. Me and my buddy watched it. I know that the book too. I know about the book too. No, Gregor. The Twilight series is about the vampires and wolves. The Twilight Zone is from Rod Serling. So Rod Serling's the Twilight Zone. I love the Twilight Zone. By the way, I'm looking forward for the Twilight Zone marathon. And with the Twilight Zone marathon, it's something that I watch on 4th of July. So, but the Twilight Saga, yeah, it's vampires and wolves. All right. Earlier Tuesday, CNN reported that the missile strikes of three Iranian last week likely not to set the country's nuclear program back months, according to the early U.S. intelligence assessment, was described by seven people briefed on it. The president posted his original comments on approximately 3:30 a.m. local time before deleting the reposting after communicating a spelling error in the original post, slamming CNN and New York Times for what he called an attempt to demand the strikes. White House press secretary Caroline Leavitt published to CNN again that reporting that Tuesday, as well as acknowledging its existence but calling it flat out wrong. So Trump is fighting. He's beefing with CNN right now. Well, your dad had good taste. I love watching Twilight Zone. It still comes on MeTV. You rest your case. Yeah. All right. Oh yeah, I love Twilight Zone. Rod Serling was a genius. Underworld is the best. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Israel extends mobilization order until July 10th. Oh, I love Lord of the Rings. That's another one that my buddy I went to school with, he loves Lord of the Rings. He got me into that too. Star Wars, The Matrix, those are very good too. Yes. Israel has extended its order until July 10 to revisit to stepped until duty after approval from Knesset's Foreign Affairs Defense Committee. Israel has relatively small standing military, but much larger respect for the Corps. Oh, thank you, Cecil. Thank you for your donation. I appreciate it very much. And shout out to all of you watching and listening and hitting the like button and hanging out with me. I appreciate that too. Okay, so Israel has relatively small standing material but much larger reserve corps upon which it relies during an extended conflict earlier this year. Military said it would mobilize tens of thousands of revisionists in expansion of its offensive in Gaza. Israeli revisionists. Cecil says, Alien, it's my bedtime, buddy. Great show. I always enjoy. Good night to all. Okay, good night to you, buddy. Have a good one. See you at a trial at some point. Israeli revisionists have become increasingly vocal since Israel broke the ceasefire with Hamas earlier this year, and resumed the war, questioning the government's commitment. Yeah, take care and stay safe also. With Hamas earlier this year, resumed the war, questioning the government's commitment. I read that. All right. I'm reading something. I might pause for a moment. All right. Okay. I want to say y'all are the greatest chat on the internets, on the interwebs. So shout out to all of you. Okay, U.S. strikes in Iran degraded Iran's ability to develop a nuclear weapon, U.S. ambassador tells UN. The U.S. strikes on Iran over the weekend degraded Iran's ability to develop nuclear weapons, the ambassador of the United Nations told the Security Council Tuesday. Quote, on 21, a U.S. precision operations effective fulfilled our narrow objective to degrade Iran's capacity to produce a nuclear weapon, Dorothy Shia said. Yeah, it is a good chat, absolutely. The strikes were in line with the inherent. Oh, thank you, Liberty. I appreciate. I'm one of the nicest guys on the interwebs. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Yeah, the Dark Knight trilogy. Oh, that was very excellent. That was awesome. Yeah, yeah. I saw that when I was some of the movies when I was growing up. Yeah, thank you, Greg. Thank you, Greg. The strikes were in line with the inherent right to collective self-defense and amid to mitigate the threat Iran posed on the region, Shia said. The comments come as an early U.S. intelligence assessment that was described by 4 people briefed on it. Said that the U.S. strikes did not strike the core components of the country's nuclear program and will likely set in back months. Oh, okay, Liberty. See you later at over there at Smoke and Scan, and thank you for coming to the stream. All right, Gregortron. We're gonna read about some anime. Let's talk about Dragon Ball Z. So we talked about Israel, Iran, some trials. Now, as we're getting closer to the end, we're talking about Dragon Ball Z. Miranda says, sorry, I'm here. Just gonna have to shower. I forgot it's SNS Taco Tuesday. Oh, okay. Yeah, he'll be coming on in a little bit, around 10 my time. A little bit. So, yeah, Miranda, thank you for being here and hitting the like button. I always appreciate your support, my friend. And also, I'm going to be reading about, Gregatron and I are going to be talking about some Dragon Ball Z. So, thank you, Miranda, for being here. All right. Dragon Ball Z is a Japanese anime television series produced by Toei Animation, part of the Dragon Ball media franchise. Yes, you did, Greg. I saw that. Oh, thank you, Miranda. Yeah, Greg, I saw that. I haven't commented on it yet, but I saw that. You did very good. Very talented. Dragon Ball media franchise. It is a sequel to the 1986 Dragon Ball television series and adapts the latter 325 chapters of the original Dragon Ball Magna series created by Akira Toriyama. The series aired on Japan on Fuji TV from April 1989 to January 1996 and was later dubbed for broadcast in at least 81 countries worldwide. Dragon Ball Z continues the adventures of Son Goku in his adult life as he and his companions defend Earth against villains including aliens, Vegeta, Varizia, Android Cell, and magical creatures Majin Buu at the same time. The story follows the life of Goku's son, Gohan, and well as development of its rivals, Piccolo and Vegeta. I'm going to switch over here so y'all can see it, what I'm talking about. Let's move him this way. Due to the success of the series, United States and Mega chapters making up for his story were initially released by Viz Media under the Dragon Ball Z title. The anime's popularity has also spawned various media and merchandise that has come to represent the majority of the material within the Dragon Ball franchise, including films, home videos, releases, soundtracks, and trading cards and video games. Dragon Ball Z remains the cultural icon through numerous adaptations and re-releases, including remastered broadcast titled Dragon Ball Z Kai. Dragon Ball Z has since been followed by the sequel series titled Dragon Ball GT 1996 to 97, a midquel series titled Dragon Ball Super 2015 to 2018, another midquel series titled Dragon Ball Daima 2024 to 2025. Saiyan Saga, Dragon Ball Z picks up 5 years after the end of Dragon Ball series with the son Goku, now a young adult and father of his son Gohan. A humanoid alien named Radids arrives on Earth in a spacecraft and tracks down Goku, revealing to him that he is his long-lost older brother and that they are members of the near-extinct elite alien warrior race called the Saiyans. Goku, originally named Kakaruto, has been sent to Earth as an infant to conquer the planet, but suffered a severe blow to his head shortly after his arrival and lost all memory of his mission, as well as his bloodthirsty Saiyan nature. Raditz tells Goku that, along with two stronger elites, Vegeta and Nappa, they are the only remaining Saiyans after their home planet Vegeta was destroyed. Raditz also asks Goku to enlist in helping conquering the planet and joining the remaining Saiyans when Goku refuses to join and help them. Raditz takes Goku and Krillin down with one strike, kidnaps Gohan, and threatens to murder him if Goku does not delete 100 humans. Yes, I know I'm butchering these names. And if you know the pronunciation of some of the names, if you wanted to like sound it out in the chat, I would appreciate it. Thank you. If you wanted to. And not to delete humans. No. Not delete 100 humans within the next 24 hours. Goku decides to team up with his archenemy Piccolo, who was also defeated by Raditz in an early encounter to defeat him and save his son. During the battle of Gohan's range momentarily makes him stronger than the Piccolo and Goku. He attacks Raditz to protect his father. The battle ends with Goku restraining Raditz so that Piccolo can hit him with the deadly move called the Special Beam Cannon. The demon penetrating, deleting ray gun, mortally wounding them both and deletes them. After a short while, both before Raditz succumbs to his injuries, reveals to Piccolo that other two Saiyans are much stronger than him and will come for Dragon Balls in 1 year. Scared. After witnessed Gohan's latent potential, Piccolo takes him into the wild to train for the upcoming battle against the Saiyans. And in the afterlife, Goku travels to a 1,000,000-kilometer Snake Way so that he can train under the ruler of the North Galaxy, King Kai. King Kai teaches Goku Kaioken, lit first of the King's Worlds, and the Spirit Bomb. Genki Dama lit Energy Sphere techniques despite his gruff and villainous nature. Hello, Matt. It's great to see you, buddy. We're talking about anime right now. Piccolo grows fond of Gohan while he observes him learning to fend for himself. This forges an unlikely emotional bond between the two. After a year, Goku revived with Dragon Balls in western Arizona. Boy, it's hot. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. It's very hot out there. With Dragon Balls, but King Kai panics as he realizes that Goku will have to take a snake way again to get back. It will not make it until hours after the Saiyan's arrival. Goku's allies group up to fight until Goku gets back, but prove to be no match for Nappa. And the Prince of all Saiyans, which I don't know how to pronounce this, Vegeta, and also, so that word, okay, and Yamacha Teen Shinhan, Chai Otsu, and Piccolo all perish in the battle with Piccolo's deletion, causing both Kami and Dragon Balls to fade from existence when Goku finally arrives in the battlefield. He avenges his fallen friends by easily defeating Nappa before crippling him by breaking his spine in half. A furious Vegeta then executes Nappa for his failure to delete Goku. Yeah, howdy, Matt, to you too. Matt says, I'm in Lake Havasu. Apparently, they shipped the OG London Bridge here after they tore it down. How odd. That's interesting. I didn't know that. Okay, thank you, Greg. V Gita. Okay. Vegeta, like vegetable. Okay. Veg. Okay. Okay, continuing. Goku uses several grades of Kaioken to win the first clash with Vegeta, which concludes with the climactic Kai beam struggle, but it comes to a great cost to his body. And let's see. Veg. Okay. Troubleshooting. Okay. Trouble by then returns to the group fight. Wait, or skip one. A great cost to his body, and then comes back to and creates an artificial moon to transform into a grape. That's what the vegetable did. Into a great ape, which he uses to torture Goku, Krillin, and Gohan. Sense that Goku is in trouble and they return for a group fight with a now seemingly unstoppable Vegeta. They are aided at the key moments by Yaj Irobe, or Irube, who cuts Vegeta's tail to revert him into his normal state. Goku gives Krillin a spirit bomb that he made, and Krillin uses it to severely damage him, and he is ultimately defeated. So the vegetable gets defeated. When he crushed by Gohan's great ape from form, when he gets crushed by the great ape form, he retreats to his spaceship as Krillin approaches to finish him off. Goku convinces Krillin to spare Vegeta's life and allow him to escape Earth. When Vegeta vowing to return and destroy the planet and revenge for his humiliation at Goku's hand. Veg. Okay, I see what you're saying, Greg, about the pronunciation. I see it now. I'm still getting the hang of it with the pronunciations, but I will. I'll get the hang of it. Okay, Vegeta. Okay, Vegeta. I see that. Okay, thanks. During the Battle of Krillin, Vegeta, monitoring the original set of Dragon Balls from Piccolo's homework, name K, while Goku recovers from the injuries, Gohan, Krillin, and Goku's oldest friend Bulma depart from Namek to use these Dragon Balls to revive their fallen friends in the battle. Upon the arrival on Namek, Krillin, Gohan, and Bulma discover that Vegeta and his superior, the galactic tyrant Frieza, are already there, each looking to use the Dragon Balls to obtain immortality. Vegeta is stronger than before as Oh, okay. Vegeta. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Greg. Thank you. Okay. During the Battle of Kurlan overhears Vegeta monitoring the original set of the Dragon Balls from Piccolo's homework. While Goku refers to him injuries, Gohan, Kurlan, and Goku's oldest friend Bulma depart for Namek to use these Dragon Balls to revive their fallen in battle. Frieza. Okay, thank you. Yeah, okay. Okay, thank you. Freezing outside. Okay, thank you, buddy. Upon their arrival on Namek, Kurlan, Gohan, and Bulma discovered that Vegeta and his superior and galactic tyrant, it is Frieza, are already there. Okay, Matt. Okay. Thank you for stopping by. Each looking to use the Dragon Balls to obtain immortality. The Gita is stronger than before, as Saiyans become stronger when they recover from the brink of deletion. So he seizes the opportunity to rebel against Frieza. A triangular game of cat and mouse ensues, with Frieza, Vegeta, and Gohan press Krillin, alternatively possessing one of the more Dragon Balls with no one managing possession, all seven at any given time. Vegeta manages to isolate Frieza's lieutenants one by one and delete them. When Frieza sees Vegeta is posing too big of a problem, he summons the Ginyu Force, a team of elite mercenaries led by Captain Ginyu, who can switch bodies with his opponents. Vegeta reluctantly teams up with Gohan and Krillin to fight them, knowing that they are too much for him to handle alone. The Ginyu Force proves too powerful, but Goku finally arrives and defeats them single handedly, saving Vegeta and Gohan and Krillin. Vegeta believes Goku may have become the legendary warrior of Saiyans and Super Saiyan. As Goku heals from the brutal fight with Captain Ginyu, Krillin Din Dende, I don't know how to pronounce that, and Gohan secretly use Dragon Balls behind Vegeta's back, wish Piccolo's resurrection, and teleport him to Namek. Vegeta finds them using Dragon Ball. The letter G in Vegeta. You are saying Vegeta. Okay. Thank you. And Vegeta. Okay. Thank you. Ah, okay. Vegeta finds them and using Dragon Balls without him, but Grand Elder is deleted and renders Dragon Balls inert before he can wish for mortality. Just as this happens, Frieza arrives and decides to delete the four of them before denying him the wish of immortality. Piccolo's arrives on Namek, but accidentally separated from others due to the badly worded wish. He finds the strongest name Kaiyan warrior, Nile, who was defeated by Frieza, and fuses with him and greatly increases power. Despite both Piccolo and Vegeta's advances in power, they are greatly outclassed by Frieza, who goes through the several transformations before reaching his final form, which he then uses to delete Dende. Shout out to Mary Toodles. Goku arrives after healing from his injuries, and Vegeta tells him that Frieza was the only one destroyed in Saiyan homeworld and massacred the Saiyan race. He also feared that he would one day overthrow by Super Saiyan, and Frieza then deletes Vegeta in front of Goku. Though Goku's power extends Vegeta's, he's still no match for Frieza. Goku uses his last resort, a massive spirit bomb, with energy of Namek, the surrounding words, and seemingly defeats the tyrant. However, Frieza manages to survive and unleashes his wrath upon the group by gravely wounding Piccolo, Piccolo, and murdering Krillin. Goku rage finally erupts the underground and undergoes strange transformation that turns hair blonde and his eyes green and causes the golden aura to radiate from his body. Goku has finally become the Super Saiyan. Yeah, I remember watching this when I was very little, but not like it's been a while. And I am gonna go over I'm gonna go like refresh more my memory about these characters and stuff later. And meanwhile, the revived Kami uses Earth's Dragon Balls to resurrect everyone in Namek that was deleted by Frieza and his henchmen, which also allows the Grand Elder to be reconstructed for a short time. The Nam Namkine dragon to return. Dende uses the final wish to teleport everyone to on Namek to Earth except for Goku and Frieza. Even at 100% power, Frieza cannot manage to defeat the Super Saiyan transformation. Goku outwits Frieza and cutting him in half with his own attack before escaping Namek as his planet is destroyed in a massive explosion. Garlic Jr. Saga. After the battle with Frieza, Goku's friends and family are waiting for a word on his return when a demonic star drifts into Earth's orbit and opens up a rift in space, allowing the malevolent immortal Garlic Jr. That's interesting. To break free from his imprisonment inside the Dead Zone. Seeking revenge for a past defeat at hands of Goku, Piccolo, and Garlic Jr. traps Kami and Mr. Popo inside the bottle and uses his black water mist to turn of his Earth's inhabitants into a bloodthirsty vampire-like beings. Gohan and Krillin and Piccolo, Krillin's then girlfriend Marone, and Gohan's pet dragon Icarus are the only ones unaffected and set to stop Garlic Jr. and restore the Earth and its inhibitions. This proves to be easier said than done, as Garlic Jr. has complete immortality, making him impossible to delete. Luckily, Gohan's hidden potential gives him the edge he needs to eradicate Garlic Jr., forces and send him back into the Dead Zone. Also destroys the star, ensuring Garlic Jr. will remain trapped in the deleted zone for eternity. Android Saga. Shouts to the androids. All right. 1 year later, Frieza is revealed to have survived and arrives on Earth with his father, King Cold. Seeking revenge, however, a mysterious young man named Trunks appears and transformed into Super Saiyan and deletes Frieza and King Cold. Goku returns a few hours later, having spent past years on an alien planet and Yardrat, learning a new technique, instant transmission, which allows him Oh yes, okay. Allows him to teleport to any location he desires. Trunks reveals privately to Goku that he is the son of Vegeta and Bulma and has traveled from 17 years in the future, warn Goku that androids, which is the artificial humans created by Dr. Gero, will appear in 3 years to seek revenge against Goku, destroying the Red Ribbon Army when he was a child. Trunks says all of Goku's. Greg, that's a good. I don't mind saying killed. It was just a habit that I got into.
What did you say?
Well, there's been a tradition which I got in a habit of saying when I was like on the show, where saying instead of saying kill, say delete, which there's no problem with that, but there's like a superstition that it was something with the guidelines, but it has nothing to do with the guidelines. I don't think, in my opinion.
Yeah, you say delete.
Yeah, and saying kills is fine too. It's not a problem. It's just some. I got in a habit of saying it.
Yeah, I know. I know. I
It
get
wasn't
it.
intention. It's not intentional. But I don't mind saying kills. It's fine. It's not a problem.
I've seen it on social media. People say delete and stuff like that.
Well, that's because of me. Like how the Timu thing spread everywhere. It's that also came from me too. Yeah. So I've gotten other people to say delete, but look, it's in this situation, it's fine, and I don't really. It's not really a problem. It's just. It's
Well, just say what's best for you. What you like to
no.
say.
I don't. I don't mind saying it. Doesn't really matter. But yeah, I don't really care either way. It's just a habit. When he was called, the Trunks says all of the Goku's friends will fall from them, while Goku himself will die from a heart virus 6 months before the arrival. Trunks gives Goku medicine from the future and will save him from heart virus and departs back to his own time. When the androids arrive, Goku falls ill during his fight with Android 19, but is saved by Vegeta, who reveals that he also achieved the Super Saiyan transformation. Vegeta and Piccolo easily defeat Android 19 and Dr. Grio, no, Gero, who turned himself into an Android 20, but Trunks returns from the future to catch on the progress and reveals the androids they defeated. Oh no, that is my mom, Mary Toodles. It's not my girlfriend. They defeated are not the ones that delete all of them in the future. Goku is out of commission and his allies are overwhelmed by the arrival of androids 16, 17, and 18, while an even stronger bio android called the Cell emerges from the different timeline and embarks on a quest to find and absorb androids 17 and 18, following him to attain his perfect form. The Cell successfully absorbs Android 17, becoming considerably more powerful, but Vegeta returns to the battle, having greatly elevated his power and easily overpowers him. However, Vegeta allows Cell to absorb Android 18, believing that his perfect form will be no match for his Super Saiyan power. Vegeta is subsequently defeated, with the Cell mockingly thanking him for helping him achieve perfection. Cell allows everyone to live at the time being announces announces to fight a tournament to decide the fate of Earth. Okay. Yes, that's true. And yeah, Greg, I I live with my mom and I stay to help my family out with my grandparents are older and yes, my mom and I live together and I
Grandparents live next door.
my grandparents live next door
It's
and
not. It's like a New Orleans thing. Or maybe you don't say where you live. Never mind.
it's okay either way. And I stayed to help my family with things because they needed help and stuff. And also I was focused on YouTube and stuff like that. So yes, that is true, Bear. Fighting tournaments to decide the fate of Earth, known as the Cell Games, Goku recovered from heart virus, having reached the zenith of the Super Saiyan form, takes on Cell at the tournament. Goku eventually realizes that the Cell is far too powerful for him to handle, and forfeits the fight to astonishment of everyone else. Goku proclaims that Gohan will be able to defeat the Cell. Though initially outclassed, Gohan is eventually able to tap into the latent power and achieve the Super Saiyan 2 transformation after Android 16 sacrifices himself in a failed attempt to delete the Cell. Refusing to accept defeat, Cell prepares to self-destruct and destroy the Earth. Goku uses his instant transmission ability to teleport himself and Cell to King Kai's planet, where Cell explodes and deletes everybody. There, however, Cell survives the blast and returns to Earth, more powerful than ever, where he prominently murders Trunks, but Gohan unleashes the totality of his power in a massive Kam Hihamala. No, I butchered that one. Kami Iha wave and obliterates the Cell for good. Yeah, the best saga. Yeah, yeah. This part sounds very cool. Definitely. All right. Dragon Balls are then used to receive everyone that was deleted by the Cell, while Goku chooses to remain afterlife, refusing an offer by his friend. Use the Namekind Dragon Balls to bring him back. Trunks returns to his timeline and uses his blow-stirred power to finally slay the future androids and Cell. Majin Buu Saga. Here we go, the saga. All right. The 7 years later, Goku is allowed to go back to Earth for one day to reunite with his beloved ones and meet his younger son Goten at the World Martial Arts Tournament, the number one martial arts gathering under the heavens. Soon after, Goku and his allies are drawn into fight by the Supreme Kai against the magical being Majin Buu, no, Bu, Majin Buu, summoned by the evil wizard Bob Idi. All efforts stop and the resurrection prove to futile. Bu is successfully revived, and begins slaughtering Earth's inhabitants. Goten and Trunks are taught the fusion technique by Piccolo, while Gohan gets his latent potential unlocked by the Elder Supreme Kai. Meanwhile, Bu befriends Mr. Satan and vows never to delete, or I should say, I could say kills. Mr. Satan vows to never kill anyone ever again, but is interrupted when a deranged gunman shoots and nearly kills Mr. Satan as a result. Majin Buu becomes so angry that he expels the evil within himself, creating an evil Bu that proceeds to absorb the good Bu. The result is Super Bu, a psychopathic monster who wants nothing more than the destruction of the universe. After numerous battles that result in the deletion, or I should say in the death, of many Goku's allies as well as the destruction of Earth, Goku is fully restored to Elder Supreme Kai and defeats Kid Bu, originally from the Majin view, with the spirit bomb attack containing the energy of the inhabitants of Earth who were resurrected along with the planet, the Namekon Dragon Balls. Goku makes a wish for Kid Buu to reincarnated as a good person, and 10 years later, at another 10 kind no ten Kaishi Bodokai. He meets Kid Buu's human reincarnation, Yub, leaving the match between them unfinished. Goku departs with Yub so he can train him to become Earth's new defender. And also, that is. Alright. Also, we're going to be close to the ending part here, but we're going to talk about a little bit more about the background of the show, then we'll be done. But we'll continue this next time. Alright. And that is not how you bookmark. You bookmark like that. Okay. So, production and broadcasting. Kazuhiko Torishima Arika Tor Toriyama's editor Dr. Stump and the first half of Dragon Ball felt that Dragon Ball anime's ratings were gradually declining because it had the same producer that worked on Dr. Slump. Torishima said this producer had this cute and funny image connected to Toriyama's work and was missing the more serious tone and Never series, therefore asked the studio to change. The producer impressed with their work on Saint Seiya. He asked the director Kozo Morishita and writer Takayo Kayoma to help reboot Dragon Ball, which coincided with Goku growing up. The new producer explained the ending the first anime creating a new one would result in more prominent money. The result was that he start Dragon Ball Z Toriyama, suggesting the title between Z and the last letter of the alphabet. He wanted to finish the series because he was running out the ideas for it. Ironically enough, the sequel series would end up producing more episodes than its predecessor. And Dragon Ball Z is adapted from the final 324 chapters for manga series, which were published in Weekly Shonen Jump from 1988 to 1995. It premiered in Japan on. Oh, that's good. That's good. A Trigon's very cool. Yeah, I'm glad that you're going to watch it. Dragon Ball Z is adapted from 324 chapters of the manga series, which were published in Weekly Shonen Jump from 1988 to 1995. It premiered in Japan on Fuji Television on April 26, 1989, taking over the predecessor's time slot, ran for 291 episodes until the conclusion on January 31, 1996. Because Toriyama was writing the manga during the production of anime. Dragon Ball Z added original material not adapted from the manga, included lengthening the scenes or adding ones, and adding new attacks to the characters not to present on the manga. For example, the Toriyama was asked to create additional character Goku's training with King Kai, resulting in Cricket Gregory. Alright. So we will continue to resume this one in the future episode. And also, going here. Alright, so Gregatron says, I'm going to watch an episode of Trigon before I go to bed. That's awesome. And yeah, we will continue this, another time, and the super chats on deck. So Gregatron says, great show today. Thank you, Gregatron. And Mary Toodles has a black cat sticker, and Cecil had a donation, and shout out to him for that. All right, so that is the super chat. Okay, and hello, Todd. It's great to see you, buddy. We were talking about a couple of things with we were talking about anime at the end because we just finished it, and we talked about the Israel and Iran conflict, and I'll see if there's an update about Israel and Iran before we end it. But it looks like they're thanking Qatar for the negotiations, and CNN and Trump are fighting over if they were actually having a good, you know, that they actually got rid of the bases. All right, let's see. So let's see. All right, so here is something new about the Israel Iran conflict. Before we end it, we'll say some more updates about Israel and Iran. Or I like to say Iran. Typical Trump, Israelis in Haifa brush off U.S. President's foul mouth. You're officially leaving for Ohio on Sunday. Okay. Okay. Understood. Hope you have a safe trip back. Israelis on the streets of Haifa Tuesday afternoon welcomed the tentative end to their country's 12-day conflict with Iran and expressed some gratitude to the U.S. President Donald Trump for his role in the currently holding ceasefire. Interviews conducted with the northern city by Reuters news agency came just hours after Trump used a profanity to lash out at Israel, accusing Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government in Iran of breaching the ceasefire he had announced. Yes, that's a typical Trump, a 7-year-old Haifa resident who gave her name as Esther told Reuters. Quote, it's like a parent scolding a child. He's scolding us, but it's not anything dramatically serious, I think. Haifa has been a target of Iranian missiles since Israel's initial strike on June 13, including an attack that injured dozens on Saturday. You see Trump scolding both sides. People will say that him being like a puppet of Israel, but it's like he's scolding both of them. Haifa has been target of Iran missiles and since Israel's initial strike on June 13, including an attack on the injured dozens on Saturday. Daniel Kopyolakov, a 27-year-old cook, told Reuters, I honestly don't care that much about what Trump said about Israel. Quote, at the end of the day, I think he's the only one that truly helped to bring the end to this war, and that's what's important to me. The U.S. struck 3 Iranian nuclear facilities on Saturday in attacks in the White House said obliterated Tehran's nuclear program. However, U.S. intelligence sources told CNN the strikes may only have set Iran's nuclear ambitions back by a matter of months, according to preliminary assessment. President Trump announced a ceasefire after Iran launched an attack at a U.S. base in Qatar Monday, which it sent warning in advance. Israel and Iran traded missile strikes Tuesday, accusing one another of breaking the ceasefire before each one recommitted to it. Hello, True Crime. Good to see you. Israel, Iran traded missile strikes Tuesday, accusing one another of breaking the ceasefire before each side recommitted to it. Mark Volovici, a 42-year-old historian, told Reuters in Haifa that the U.S. involvement in the conflict underscored Israel's dependency on its key ally. Quote, it's a demonstration that Israel, even though it claims to be in charge of its own fate, the future is still dependent on the American support completely in terms of both political and financial backing, course of ammunition, and we're talking about we're getting closer to the end of the stream, and we did some anime conversation, which I could resume briefly, but right now we're kind of giving some updates about the Israel-Iran conflict. And hello, True Crime. It's good to see you. Trump pushes back on CNN reporting about intel assessment suggesting strikes on Iran didn't destroy nuclear sites. In a post on Truth Social, U.S. President Donald Trump disputed CNN reporting that early U.S. intelligence assessments striking targets of Iran nuclear facilities did not destroy a core components of his nuclear program. Trump, who's Netherlands attending the week's NATO summit, called the strikes one of the most successful military strikes in history, adding that the nuclear sites. Oh, hello, Overtime. It's great to see you, buddy. Shout to you. Called the strikes one of the most successful military strikes in history, adding that the nuclear sites in Iran are completely destroyed. All right, so also I want to give the Diddy update. I want to give the Diddy update too. Trump, who's in the Netherlands attending the NATO summit, called the strike one of the most successful military strikes. Yeah, it's a heat wave. Oh, thank you, True Crime. Understood. Glad you're keeping up with it. It's a heat wave out here. Oh yeah, where I am, it's raining, so it's been a little bit cooler. But it's when the sun's out, it's very hot. Trump, who's in the Netherlands, attend this week's NATO summit, called the strikes one of the most successful military strikes in history, adding the nuclear sites in Iran are completely destroyed. All right, so let's see what's going on with Diddy. Diddy update. I know about Timbaland using the AI technology. Yeah, I remember I saw. I've not been to Timbaland streams in a while, but yeah, I saw him. He did this program where he had people submit their AI creation art. Oh, thank you, Mary Toodles. Shout out to you. Thank you for your donation. A heart face. Yeah. And DJ says, I hear about Timbaland using AI music technology. It's a mess. Yeah, I remember I saw his streams about when he had people use that. I didn't know if he himself was using it directly. But yeah, I do know about it over time. I do. Yeah, definitely. It's quite and I didn't know people could do that, but it's quite fascinating that they did that, but then I could see it's a big mess also. Yeah, definitely. I'm sure it is a big mess. It sounded kind of mind blowing. All right, so here we have some Diddy updates. If that's the case, I'll go platinum soon. All right, on, right on. All right. So this is the most recent update about Diddy. The defense has rested their case. Catch up. Okay. The defense has rested their case. Before the lunch break for the Diddy trial, the prosecution rested their case after 6 weeks of testimony from the 34 witnesses before the jury returned. All right. All right, Greg. See you later, buddy. All right. And the prosecution rested their case after 6 weeks of testimony from the 34 witnesses before the jury returned from lunch. The defense made a rule, 29 motions, arguing that the prosecution did not meet its burden to prove their case against Sean Diddy Combs once their jury. Okay, Greg. And we'll continue the Dragon Ball Z one on the other stream. That we'll do. And all right, did not meet the burden to prove that their case against Sean Diddy Combs. Once the jury returned from lunch, the defense presented rested their case. All right, Rule 29 motion. Combs' defense attorney Alexandria Shapiro made a Rule 29 motion, a routine motion typically made by defense in a criminal trial after the government rests its case, for a judgment of the acquittal on counts of arguing that the government failed to meet its burden to prove the courts against Combs. Counts regarding the racketeering counts, Shapiro argued that the prosecutors failed to show anybody conspired with Combs, and he actually took steps to conceal the nature of the sexually active activity was engaging in. His employees include the ex-chief staff Christina Coram. Shapiro also argued that the prosecution did not provide the sex trafficking counts relating to Jane and Casey Ventura. Rebuttal. Prosecutors Christy Slavic responded to the defense motion saying that the record developed at trial more than established sufficient basis to case to presented the jury. The judge said he'll reserve decision on the motion. I'm doing great. While the jury was not present, the judge addressed Combs directly about his decision not to testify in his own defense and asked how he's feeling. Quote, I'm doing great, Your Honor, Combs said, adding, I've been wanting to tell you that you're doing an excellent job. The judge chuckled, and said, thank you, I appreciate it. The judge also confirmed with Combs that he understood that he had the right not to testify, and no one can draw inference if he doesn't, and asked Combs if it was his decision not to testify the case. That is my decision, Your Honor, Combs said. Yeah. Defense case. Combs' defense attorney, Anna Estaveo, began to present the defense case by reading several text messages between Ventura and Combs into the record, and showed that the largely positive discussing plans for a freak-off. The defense rested its case at the end of the day. Stipulations. Tenny Gregos and another one of Combs' defense attorney also read the stipulation regarding the statement witness made at interviews ahead of a trial, and include a statement made by a man who Combs purposely hired to have sex with Ventura. Scared? Gregos said that at the several meetings drawn, Richard also had the government said she did not say that Combs threatened her by saying that. Where he comes from, people go missing, then say things that Mia's first 3 meetings with law enforcement. She did not say the Combs initiated sexual contact with her, and Brianna Bongolian did not tell the prosecutors at the meeting prior to the trial. Combs said he could delete her and photo shoot, according to according to the stipulation. The jury will not be present in court on Wednesday. So Wednesday, the jury will not be present. They will return on Thursday when the closing arguments are expected to begin. One of the prosecutors also told the judge that they didn't think the jury will begin deliberating until Monday. Prosecutor doesn't think jury will begin deliberating until Monday. Closing arguments in the Sean Diddy Combs criminal trial are expected to begin on Thursday. Defense attorneys and prosecutors agreed to hold the court at 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on both Thursday and Friday. Prosecutors Maureen Comey said she doesn't think the jury will begin deliberating until Monday. Combs' defense team rests its case. The defense team in Sean Diddy Combs' criminal trial has rested its case. Prosecutors do not intend to present rebuttal case, Prosecutor Maureen Comey said. Judge Arun Surbamian told the parties to return at noon on Wednesday for the charge conference. He told the jury that they'll be offered tomorrow and should return Thursday morning to hear closing arguments. The jury has been dismissed for the day. All right. Stipulation notes some witnesses did not initially report threats or sexual contact by Combs to law enforcement. Daniel Phillip, a man Sean Diddy Combs allegedly hired to have sex with, Casey Ventura told law enforcement in December 2023, meaning that a female client once called him and said her husband asked what she wanted and she requested to be rubbed down in oil by another man. Scared. In another meeting, Phillip said during the freak-off when Combs would tell them to sit on the couch while Combs had doing something naughty with Ventura, he would feel jealous as he liked Ventura romantically. As for 7 meetings, Dawn Richard, a former member of the Danity Kane, had with the government, she did not say that Combs threatened her by saying where he comes from and people go missing if they say things. According to the stipulation at Mia's first 3 meetings with law enforcement, she did not say that Combs initiated sexual contact with her according to stipulation. Brianna Bongolan, a longtime friend of Ventura, did not tell prosecutors at the meeting that the trial that Combs said he could delete her in a photo shoot according to stipulation. All right. All right. That is the update about Diddy and about the Israel. We have another one right here. Combs Ventura discussed freak-offs during drugs on text. Defense attorney Estivello read the part of the conversation between Casey Ventura and Sean Diddy Combs in March 2017. And you quote, "You think you can FO without getting high?" LOL, Combs wrote. "Yeah, I'll just have to be at my level. What is good for me?" Ventura responded. As Steve Ao read part of the explicit text conversation from April 2017, Combs asked Ventura what she was going to do. "Be your little freak," Ventura wrote back. All right, everybody. So that is all we have for tonight. The updates with Diddy and Israel, and talk about Dragon Ball Z for a moment. We talked about trials earlier, and it was a very good commentary, very good stream. So everybody, thank you for watching this, and everybody have a good evening. Thank you for tuning in, and peace. Let's see. Let's get this thing to work properly. Let's go here.